Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us on another edition of DAX Machina. It's going to be just Robbie and me tonight. We're going to be doing some storytelling and a little bit of celebrating because tomorrow, actually at 3 o'clock in the morning, on June 1st is my birthday. So we're gonna kind of do a special off the cuff show tonight where we're not as quite as planned as we normally are. We're also going to be giving away some walk on rolls and books. So a couple or possibly even three lucky folks tonight will be featured as a guest character in an upcoming novel. So that hopefully that people are excited about that. I'm excited about my birthday. Hey, I'm getting a lot of happy birthdays in the crowd tonight, thank you to everybody that's wishing me happy birthday. I was trying to respond to them in text earlier, but now that we're live, I probably won't be able to respond to them quite so much in text. Robbie, how the heck are you, man?
I'm doing pretty good today. Got some better than average news, so I'm doing pretty good. So, but cheers, happy birthday, brother.
Slanja, thank you, man. You want to tell us what your good news is?
Well, it's not as important as your birthday, but I'm
just a birthday, man.
I got a little promotion at work today, so
congratulations, Corporal Rains.
Thank you. Yeah, I had to work myself back up to it because when I left Pickens City the first time, I was a corporal, and I've had to work myself back up to it. So I finally back up to where I was rank wise. So,
well, congratulations, man. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Karen, Meg, David. Thank y'all all.
Getting a lot of congratulations in the crowd there.
Yeah,
congrats, Robbie. That is awesome, brother. I'm proud of you, brother. So how you been, man?
Been good. A little tired over the past couple of days because it was a rough couple of days. Just getting out there trying to get all that stuff done for Texas, all the bow racks and working on those, and just on top of that, and we had a couple pretty busy days Monday and Tuesday, and then my partner is going out of town this weekend, so we're back to what did Penny say? Oh God, that. Hope your title is Lord of Tracking and Grandpa. No, it ain't that. Not at all. But yeah, just one of them weeks where there's been good news in the week, but it's been one of those weeks we've just had to work our tails off. Caleb and I had a lot of stuff going on Monday and Tuesday. We did like I think 12 reports together on Monday and then another 10 on Tuesday. So we did like 20 something reports in 2 days. Not that they were huge, major deals. Some of them were, but
And reports of reports, man. You get that many stacked up, that's a lot of work.
Yep. So hopefully this weekend will kind of chill out a little bit because I'm going to be by myself until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, that could get a little hectic.
Yeah.
So when you're on shift alone, who do you call for backup if you need another officer?
Sheriff's office usually, and luckily most of the guys that are on, we've got the 2 rotations that are on with us are Echo and Bravo, and I think Echo shift will be rotating back around for the county on the day shift this time. Most of those guys that work that area have scanners and listen to us on scan, so usually if they hear something, they're already headed that way anyway, and most of the time they know that things are bad if they hear certain calls, and they'll go ahead and start heading our way. But yeah, if it gets bad enough, which lucky, you know, you've heard me talk about my chief. He's usually always got his radio on or in town or whatever. So 9 times out of 10, if I need help, he's the first one to me anyway. So
Northwood says, Robbie, hopefully there's no full moon this weekend.
yeah, I hope not.
Yeah, that could suck.
Yeah.
Well, you're on day shift, aren't you?
Yep. But that carries over. It still affects us.
I don't miss those.
No.
It got so bad there for a while. I was thinking about burning vacation days on nights of full moon.
Yeah, those are not fun most of the time.
It's Murphy's Law, man. If anything can go wrong, it generally does.
Oh yeah, Mr. Murphy loves to show up on nights of the full moon. He loves to show up just about any time usually, but really on those nights. So the chat is flying by again tonight.
Yeah, it is. I've been trying to keep up with it, but it's moving pretty fast.
I got 107 in. That's pretty good.
So we're thinking we're going to do things a little differently tonight. We're not going to let Nightbot pick random picture winners for the walk-on positions. What we're thinking we're doing is we may come up with some trivia questions, and the person that gets the answer first gets the walk-on role. But we'll do that here shortly. We're 7 minutes in. It's a little early to start that, but we'll definitely be doing that very soon. We're probably going to do at least 2, probably 3 over the course of the night.
3D Havoc says he sucks at trivia.
Sorry, man. Papa Bear says, "Ooh, trivia, yay!" So we get both sides of the reaction there.
Yeah.
So what is your beverage of choice tonight, man?
I've got Ice House.
I got some Yingling myself. My last 3.
Well, see, I wanted to get some of those because you and Steve had showed them to me, and I was like, gotta find some of those. Went to like 3 or 4 different stores, couldn't find them, so I just said, nah, screw it, I'll just get some Ice House. I hadn't had any of that in a long time.
I'm surprised it's not easier for you to find it than it is for us. It's out of Pennsylvania, and you're a hell of a lot closer to Pennsylvania than I am.
Well, but see, when I told you we went through and toured their facility when we went to Cigar Fest one year, and they only import certain, because they've got way more beers than just the lager or anything like that.
Yeah.
But they only import certain ones to certain areas. There's like the black and tan. I don't know if you can get that around there. We can get that, and we can get the lager and the light. That's the only 3 Yuengling products that we get.
The only one I've seen is the lager so far.
Yeah, so they've got
they literally just started marketing into Missouri. So I would say the others are going to be more readily available soon because it's been really, really successful here.
Well, see, there's one that I really want to get, but they don't sell it around here. It's called Utopias.
Huh? Never even heard of that one.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be really. I mean, it's supposed to be more of a kick than the old IH over here. I'm talking. I think they want. I want to say they said 7 ABV.
Nice.
So I like to get it, at least try it once.
Yeah, I like to try a lot of beers, except for IPAs. I just can't stand IPAs. To me, the IPAs are the man bun and skinny jeans of the beer world.
Yeah, I'm not a big IPA guy.
Just don't like them. I don't like real hoppy beers.
I've drank them, especially going to places like the microbreweries and the things like that. You just about have to. That's about what all they've got there, and there's a few that aren't bad, but on the most part, give me a good domestic any day of the week.
I think my favorite is Guinness. David By says, Roxanne, I agree. Boulevard Wheat is very good. I like Boulevard Wheat. It's a good food beer. It's if you're eating like steak or burger, it's a great beer to go with it. That's why I made it Will Gray Eagle's favorite. I really do like Boulevard wheat. It's a good one.
See, I'd like to actually try that because I don't think we can get that around here. That's another reason I like this though, because it's really smooth and that's a good food beer.
Pat Brown says, "How the hell do you two grow beards? I've tried for years and I can't. I got the goatee, but the sides won't grow. I've been able to grow a thick beard since I was in my late teens, early 20s.
Yeah, I could have probably anything. Not trying to brag but I could have probably had this thick beard when I was in high school if I'd have let it grow. My real dad had a beard. Then my mom always, she hated it once I started growing facial hair because you look just like your daddy, which was not a good thing for them being divorced and her not being too fond of him or something for whatever reasons. So once we made the switch into law enforcement, we could start growing beards. Oh Lord, I didn't hear the end of it for months when I first started growing my beard.
For most of my law enforcement career, we couldn't have a beard.
Yeah, same here.
I only have a mustache, and I never really liked that look, but I refused to just be completely hair free because I had a full beard before I became a cop, and I missed it.
Yeah, well, I had the full mustache until that stupid movie came out, and then I had to shave it.
Which movie?
I'm scared to even say.
Well, now I gotta know.
But when it came out, some of the nitwits I had working with me started calling me, "Oh, Paul Bart." Said I looked like Kevin James with my mustache. So the next day I came in and I was clean shaven. My chief's like, "Why'd you shave?" I said, "You know why I shaved." So then I didn't have any facial hair at all until we finally was able to grow goatees. What was he? Somebody asked me, was it? Yeah, no, it wasn't that. We ain't gonna put that one.
No, I'm gonna keep that one on. So, as far as the Bigfoot world, have you seen that picture that's been floating around Facebook?
You talking about the one with like maybe a pool or a hot tub and supposedly look a Bigfoot supposedly looking over the railing?
Mm-hmm. There's two pictures side by side, supposedly taken a few seconds apart.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, I don't know how many people in the chat have seen that, but it's making its rounds around Facebook, and they're saying that Bigfoot told them to take the picture and to show it to the world and stuff. And you know, that notwithstanding, maybe that does happen to some people, but that has got to be
Tomb's
the
got it.
worst.
Tomb's
That's got
got
to
it.
be. If you, what Tombs
Well,
say?
it's not Tombs. I'm sorry, Nimza got it.
Yeah.
She hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, it's a gorilla mask. Yeah, it's not even a really good gorilla mask.
No.
But I didn't want to just pronounce it a gorilla mask and proclaim I'm an expert, which I never claimed to be an expert. But I did do my due diligence. I know a couple of guys that work in the special effects world. A couple of guys whose opinion I value very much, and they're both huge werewolf fans. They both have worked with werewolf more like the full effects, not CGI, like the balloons under the skin and the whole latex, like the howling. They've done stuff like that, full prosthetics. So I sent them that picture, and it took them about 30 seconds to say mask and then bad mask. You look at the two pictures side by side, and again, I'm not going to show the picture on here because they claim it's copyrighted. But I'm not going to.
By whoever made the mask.
Yeah, by whoever made the mask. But it just looks like it's sitting on like a mask that's probably pulled over like one of those mannequin styrofoams with sunglasses on, because the eyes are like shiny and completely black. Which I don't know if you guys have ever been up close to any animal that don't have human like eyes. But even animals like horses, they're still white to the eyes. You can see it at the edge of the eyes. This is just completely black and shiny. The teeth don't even remotely look real on the thing. It is one of the worst hoax photos I've seen in a long time. In fact, I have more respect for the red circle bullshitography photos than I do the pure straight out hoaxes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember where I was at when the first time I saw that, but I think my first reaction to that was, look at that, because it almost looks like somebody took a Darth Vader mask and tried to make it look like a gorilla, because there's pieces of it where you can almost see it's angular like this. So, and I guess with the sunglasses or whatever's underneath it like that, it makes it look like the eyes in a Darth Vader mask.
Nona Boss is on the same page with us. She said she knew it right away. Yeah,
Yep.
as soon as I looked at it, I knew it was a mask, but I wanted to be sure. So I sent it to a couple guys I know in the special effects industry, and they're like, "Yeah, that's a really bad
Yeah,
mask. It's not even a good one."
the girls are too. I don't know if that's Randy or Krista, but they're on it too.
Naoma's looking for it, looking for the image. I tell you what, check your Facebook Messenger, Naoma. I just sent you the picture so you can look at it. Again, I'm not going to show it on the air, and anybody that's in any of the Bigfoot groups on Facebook has probably seen it. It's not it's it's not a good quality photo. They claim they were taken seconds apart. Uh, there's a shovel in the image, and the shovel is in two different positions, supposedly taken seconds apart. And supposedly someone told me, and I won't say who, someone saw like the other pictures that went with it before they just posted the one. Apparently, originally they'd posted 3 or 4 images, and in one of them you could actually see the hooks holding the mask in place. So, Blondes and Boost says, read the comments on the original post. They're hilarious. Yeah, I didn't comment on it because it's the same thing with red circle photos. I just don't comment. There's no point in engaging people that are self-deluded. You're not going to win the argument, and you're going to get ganged up on by 25 other people who can see something in those 25 circles. Unfortunately, there's way too much of this kind of crap going on.
Yeah, Marty's got a good point on that too. The white eye shine, where you see the white reflection, that kind of gave away the fact that it was not real eyes.
Yeah.
And you're exactly right, Marty. That was a dead giveaway. That you can almost it's like a reflection of a flash.
Yeah, it is. It's the reflection of the flash.
Yeah, and eyes aren't going to do that. You might see if the picture is like really blown up, but you're not going to see the reflection of a flash like that in
right.
eyes.
Yeah, it's a really obvious hoax. And
well, I mean, what are eyes designed to do?
Absorb light.
Exactly. They're not designed to reflect light. They're designed to absorb light, especially a dark eye like that. So you would not see anywhere near that bright of a shine or reflection. So
Penny Van said she wants to know how to find that pic. Let me see if I can find it in one of the Facebook groups, and I can share a link to that Facebook group. I'm pretty sure I know which group it's in. Is that it's brutally obvious as soon as you see it that this is a fake.
I can't believe there's people out there who are actually buying into it. That's the bigger oh my gosh moment to me, is that there's actually people out there who think that's real.
Yeah. Well, then there's several of them that are obviously done by AI that are floating around too. that
Yeah, I
are,
think
in my opinion, better quality pictures than that, but they're still obviously AI. But the problem is those AI pictures are getting better constantly, um, and it's just a matter of time before those are so good you can't tell them from reality. And because those AI programs are getting better constantly. So again, that's another reason why it's going to be increasingly difficult to put forth any photo or video as proof, because they're so easy to fake anymore. Yeah, take that down. I don't know if it got taken down off that group. Let me see if I can find it in the other. That image might have gotten taken down in that one. I was scrolling way down in that one and it was gone.
if it started getting a whole lot of negative traction, they probably did take
Oh, it was getting crucified in some of it, and I was good. I didn't say anything. I kept my mouth shut. I don't really try to post negative crap, even if it's obviously that it's a fake. Uh, I just don't, going to get into negative drama on social media. But
No, there's no real winners when you do that anyway. Because
right,
you're
exactly.
not going to change their mind. You're not going to change what they're. Because 9 times out of 10, they know what it is anyway. So it's not like they're going to admit it. Oh, you're right.
Right.
You got me. They're not going to do that. So there's really no point. It's just.
There it is. Okay, I found it. Here we go. All right, folks. I'm going to post this directly into the chat. You guys can go to the Facebook and look at the image for yourself. It says at the top of the image that it's copyright by I'm not going to say the name, that it's copyrighted, but you can just look at that and go, that's a Halloween mask.
It's.
But there are also a ton of people that are like, oh, it's a fantastic picture. Now, thank you, T. Willis. Thank you so much. That is awesome. But the problem is the same thing with red circles. There's going to be 30 people who go, oh yeah, I see 12 dogmen and a Bigfoot, and they're having a rave party, and this one's coming through a portal, and this one's moonwalking. I swear I could go out in my backyard right now and take a picture of the bushes that separate my house from the guy that lives behind me, knowing full well it's just a honeysuckle bush, and there's literally a house 100 feet on the other side of it, and throw some red circles on it and post it in one of these groups under a random post, and there's going to be 40 people like, oh, I see it.
And what's even funnier about that is you could post that picture and not say anything. Just say, do you see this? Like with an exclamation point. And
that one guy gets it.
Yeah. And just let it go and let the comments go. Without you even saying anything, I guarantee you there'd be 20 people that saw 20 different things. Yeah, I see the Dogman. No, it's a Bigfoot. No,
right. Thanks, Eric. Get Bigfoot to do a dance on the catwalk for me.
I want to see that.
Mike A says, do you guys have an opinion on Todd Standing's supposed Bigfoot footage? I've tried to get in touch with Todd to try to get him on the show, and it just never really gotten back to me. I'm
kind of on the fence about it. He seems like he knows what he's talking about. When you listen to the guy talk, he seems like he knows what he's talking about. And then some of the pictures or video footage are like, yeah, but then some of them just look really, really CGI to me.
I don't know if they look CGI or just, I don't know. It seems really, really bizarre to me that while 99.99% of researchers are getting badly pixelated, if not grainy photos, he's got like a dozen that are just crystal freaking clear.
Yeah.
So either he's the greatest Bigfoot researcher on the planet or the biggest hoaxer. But but supposedly his wife works. His wife is a makeup expert. I've read that in another article, and I don't know if it's true or not. I'm not going to cast any dispersions against Todd, but I'm on the fence about that. Either
Yeah.
those are some damn good pictures, or he's a
The,
damn good hoaxer.
and what kind of
Thanks,
helps
Kevin.
lend what kind of helps lend credence to him is Les Miles, or Les Stroud.
Les
I mean,
Stroud.
He's pretty much. I mean, not that Les has said, "Hey, this guy knows everything. He's 100%," but he's had him on his show like 4 or 5 separate times. And when Les did those 2 big New Egg and Raiden Springs, it was specifically Bigfoot hunting, and Standing was on both of those.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that says something. Les Stroud having him on there. I mean, because Les Stroud's not an idiot. I mean, he's legit when it comes to wilderness survival. And there was a couple of those tree structures and things like that Les is like, I cannot explain this. It's not snow load. It's not weather.
Right.
He said there's no way a man could have done this unless they had brought in some big heavy equipment. And there's no tracks showing big heavy equipment coming in here. He said, I can't explain it. So do I think he's researching in an area where it's active and there's a hotbed? Yeah. Do I think every one of those pictures and videos that he's got, that's where I'm on the fence? Because some of them just don't look like anything that I've ever seen, read about. They just look totally different.
Right.
And almost, I'm not going to say 100%, some of them almost look like people in makeup.
Yeah. So I don't know the guy. I don't know the guy personally.
Yeah,
I'm not going to call
saying,
the guy out and call him a hoaxer.
I'm not saying that he is doing that. I'm just saying, to me, that looks sort of like what it could be. But like I said, take all that stuff out of it. The guy knows his stuff when he's talking about, some of the encounters that he talks about, pretty freaking hair raising when you think about, like the one where he talked about when he was up on top of the hill camping, and he knew he went further than what they had wanted him to go, and he felt like they were about, or were going to kill him, pretty much pushing him back out of that territory. That's a pretty
creepy story.
Yeah.
So
and he tells it with conviction too, and as a police officer listening to it,
I think the guy does have some legitimate points. But having said that, that doesn't mean he didn't fake the footage. I mean, just because he knows what he's doing, he might have, because he did sue Canada, the government of Canada, to try to put these things on a protected species list. And I can't say for sure, and especially with modern photography techniques, it's impossible unless you've got a copy of the original image to have someone go over with a fine-tooth comb. It's impossible to say if an image has been faked or not. But I don't know. Again, I'm still on the fence about Standing. Ron Yelton says, "What's up, guys? I'm in my hospital room watching you." Ron had a major health scare. Lucky to be alive, brother. We're glad you're with us. We're glad you're still with us, and we wish you a speedy recovery, man. Our prayers are with you, brother.
Yeah.
Had another super chat. This one from 3D Havoc. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Says that's all I have a drink. Well, I will drink to that. Thank you, sir. Much appreciate the super chat.
Scald.
Lanjama. I missed a comment. What did Miss Naoma? What did Miss Naoma say? There we go. Even the most accurate clock needs two powdering once in a while. Okay, yeah, I got you. Estelle Harding says, "Happy birthday, DA." Thank you so much. Toshi says, "Same with those pictures with red circles. I look, but all I see is bush, shadow, or stump." Yeah.
William had to throw you a little jab in there.
We're probably we're going to have to get either a flame retardant table cover or have a fire extinguisher on standby, because I won't have the lung capacity to blow out all them candles.
Hey, I'm not far behind you. 49 is not a small number of candles to try to blow out either.
That's why I just go with the numbers.
Yeah. 2 big numbers. We got to blow out 2 candles this year.
Fat Brown says, if you circle pictures, I dismiss them right out the door, but that's just me. I don't really care for red circle pictures. But the pictures we have from Joe Bald, there are some circles on those, but that was really before before I started really saying, hey, there's nothing in these pictures of all these red circle photos, but they were put on there by the guys that were bringing the images out to show me what section to look at. So yeah, I've got a couple of red circle photos, but by and large, I don't post photos from when I go out in the woods because I'm not drawing a bunch of red circles on bushes.
I think Michelle N has hit what I was trying to say. That
could be his undoing. Yeah,
it's a production more than just, hey, this is what's going on.
T. Willis is right. Jesus has some awesome photos.
Yeah, and Jesus is not, he's not dramatic about it. It's just matter of fact. Hey, here's what I got. Believe it, don't believe it. I don't care. I'm just showing you what I got. Standing is like Michelle said, he's more over the top with his presentation of it. They're interesting, but I guess it'd be kind of like comparing Mountain Monsters to In Search Of, where Mountain Monsters is talking about something that we all know is real, but it's way over dramatized and it's entertainment. That's it. Whereas In Search Of will talk about the same thing, but it gives all these factual things. It's not presented in a comical manner. And you can tell it's more for educational versus entertainment. And I think a lot of his stuff is for the entertainment factor. And there again, that's not saying that everything he's saying is wrong or that he hasn't had these encounters. But I just think that's a very valid point, that his do feel really over dramatized.
I definitely would agree with that. And someone brought up a good point earlier. I remember reading it and didn't pull it up on screen, that all of his shots are dead on, non-moving face shots.
Yeah,
you don't get any body shots. You don't get any shots of it walking away. Yeah, they're always these high quality face shots.
But
and that's a little suspect.
Also, there's always some kind of like small piece of bush or tree limb or something that's like obscuring some part. It's never like, in a clearing where you can see every little detail. It's always there's something like right here and it's turned to the side, and there's always some part that's kind of covered up.
Yeah.
Ooh.
3D. A lot of folks wishing me happy birthday. Thank you guys. Thanks everybody. I'd like to be able to reply to everybody, but the chat's moving by so fast I'm not catching everything. But thank you guys for all the birthday wishes.
3D Havoc's got a good question for us there, DL. You want to answer that one for him?
Yeah, we are. We're we're all going to be at the Dogman conference down in Fort Worth, Texas. The first weekend, White Settlement, Texas, which is outside of Fort Worth.
Yep.
The first weekend of September 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and that is just like a rock throw from Lake Worth, where the Lake Worth monster was. So we're going to grab Robbie and Doc and maybe a couple others, and we're going to go down to Lake Worth and poke around. But we've got some other places we're planning on going. We definitely plan on getting into LBL. We're looking at getting into Werewolf Springs. We want to go back down and hit some places like Joe Bald. And there's a place up north of Doc, up in the mountains in the Rockies, where a Girl Scout camp got shut down over Wendigo sightings. So we're wanting to go up there with Doc and his side-by-side with some rather large caliber pew-pews and have a look around. So yeah, we've got some some excursions planned for the very near future.
And you want to talk about the other one that we talked about the other night, or you want to keep that
Sure,
one?
go ahead, man.
For those of you who were here for the Oklahoma Bigfoot Wars show, DA Noah and I were going through the show, and this was not known or anything until we're in the middle of the show talking about it, and come to find out, DA writes codename Wild Hunt, the very first one, Odin's Call. Lo and behold, he wrote that, and it took place almost within a couple,
like 5 miles.
5 miles of where the Oklahoma Bigfoot Wars actually happened in 1855. So those of you who were in that show saw us kind of, looking through GPS coordinates. I put the GPS coordinates in CalTopo, which is a topographical map or mapping system or application I use for some of my tracking stuff. That's what my class that I went through recommended using. And sure enough, the coordinates that we got pops right at, was it Broken Bow Lake, I think was the name of it?
Yeah, Broken Bow Lake, I believe it is.
Pops up right at Broken Bow Lake. Well, then we got a message, and I'm just going to say a message, from somebody who said that they could help us with lodging, I believe, DA?
Yeah, they have a cabin in that area.
Yeah.
So I need to get back with them, and we're going to be planning an outing to that area
that
in
right
the not
there
so distant future.
That right there, to me, all these other ones are going to be fun, but that one right there, because he wrote the book and had no clue he's writing a book on top of a historical thing that actually happened, we might get out there and actually find some stuff. So
I think we probably get into the thickest stuff.
Yep.
And the person that contacted me, I don't want to say who it is because I don't have their permission to talk about it on the air, and I need to email them back and work out some specifics. But they said that there is Bigfoot activity in the area of their cabin. So
yes, to answer your question, 3D Havoc, we're planning some stuff.
Nona Boss is heading to bed. Marty, thank you for being here.
Night, Marty.
Hope you have a great night.
So we're about 38 minutes in. How long before you want to try to give away that first?
Let's go ahead and do the first one. I need to get some blank paper so I can write down who wins.
Hey, Sugar Bridges.
I also want to get down to Brown Springs in Oklahoma with Tex.
Yeah, that definitely. That I showed that screenshot to my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't tell him anything about it. I just said, "Look at this. What do you think?" First words out of his mouth were, "Did a Bigfoot lean up against that glass?" I said, "What makes you think that, Dad?" And he said, "Well, look at the hair. Look how big that hand is." And I'm like, because he could see the same thing that I pointed out, the strands of hair that you could tell that leaned up against the glass. So yeah, I can't wait to get out there too.
The Australia tour would be freaking fun. Going yowie hunting.
Just got to avoid the crocodiles and the snakes and the spiders and the scorpions
and the koala bears
and the koalas and the kangaroos. Hell, the safest thing out there is the yowie.
I think you're right. JD Smooth had a good question before we start a trivia question. He says, "What do you think is the best way to cast a print?"
You want me to get that, or you got it?
No, you go ahead, and I'll either add to or
okay. Well,
add in.
There's a couple of schools of thought on this. You can get the stuff at Lowe's or Home Depot that's the cheaper plaster of Paris, and it works just fine. You just have to mix it correctly, and you add. Correct if I'm wrong. You add water to the mix, not mix the water, right, DA?
Mm-hmm.
You get what it says you have mix wise. You add the water to that and mix it up as you go. You don't have a big bunch of water and put the powder in that. You got to make sure your mix is right, because if not, it's not going to turn out right. If it's really wet, the print itself is really wet, there's a couple of things you can do depending on whichever way you want to do it. You can take a good thing that we've suggested you carry is cling wrap, something like that. Take cling wrap. If it's a really wet print, wet and messy, put that down inside the print, and then pour the mixture inside the cling wrap. That way you ain't got to worry about that. It forms that barrier. You ain't got to worry about it picking up sticks and mud, and you ain't got to worry about it not drying properly because it's too wet, because of the track being wet. Also, if it's really sandy, or there's a lot of things in it, you can also spray hairspray in it to kind of stick that stuff together, to keep a lot of this, if it's got small debris in it like that, to keep that out of the print. You can buy those little barbecue skewers, and you can
even use just sticks you find laying around, as long as they're not too
sticks.
big.
You can use sticks out there. I mean, you can get creative, and we're just, whatever we say, there's
Gives
probably
it a little rigidity.
Yeah, there's probably 100 different ways you can do. Reason we talk about, say, those barbecue skewers, because if you take those and you put them long ways in the print, like DA said, it gives you that rigidity. But you can also you can buy popsicle sticks, or you can find sticks out there on the ground. You stick them straight up and down inside the print. That way, when it's dried and when it's completely cured, you have something. You don't have to worry about trying to mar the actual print itself up by digging your hands underneath the side of it to pull it out. You got those sticks, one end or the other, that you can just pick it straight up out of the track, and you still got the track itself that you just cast.
Also, if it's a shallow track, you might want to build up a little dam around the print.
Yep.
Give it like an inch or so away from the edge, so you don't know any damage. And you can do that with with pieces of wood, like flat pieces of wood, or you can even do it with dirt. But make sure if it's a thin track, if it's not a deep impression, to fill up enough of that plaster of Paris that goes out to your little dam. Otherwise, if you try to make a plaster print that's only a half inch to a quarter inch thick, it's just going to crumble when you pick it up.
And I went to Ollie's, I think, which is a big discount store, and I got like 300 popsicle sticks that I put in my day pack. Perfect for what DA was talking about, making a little dam. You line those out around it, just kind of lay them in the ground out around it. Makes a perfect little dam. I mean, if you don't have those, just like he said, you can use dirt to build that up. Penny resin pouring in a track. That resin, I've dealt with epoxy resin. That's not something that you would really carry with you out there, because it's a 2-part mix, and there has to be the right temperature. If it's too hot outside, that stuff will start curing before you even pour it, and it heats up, so you got a chance of something happening with it. If I was going to resin pour track, if that was something I wanted to do and I wanted to have that track, probably what I would do is I would probably have something like a silicone that I could pour in it, and then try to dig the track up once the silicone's set, to where I could take the track and preserve it that way, then take it back and put it in a controlled situation. Because if it's too cold or it's too hot, epoxy resin is not going to work. It's just not. The sign that DA's got behind his the Wild Hunt that I made him, I had to re-pour that once because the temperature in the house wasn't where it needed to be, and it wouldn't cure properly. So I had to sand that part down and re-pour it, just because the temperature was too cool and it just wouldn't cure the right way. So if you're outside and you're trying to pour something like that outside, and it's not exactly between whatever it is, 72 and 88, I think's what the degree or the temperature variant has to be. If it's not right there where it's supposed to be, then it's not going to work. So that's not a good medium to carry with you to try to pour or cast tracks. It's better to have plaster of Paris or something like that. Dental stone. What's some of the others, DA?
there's a quick drying latex that some people use as well.
Yeah.
I have not tried it. All of my attempts have been with plaster of Paris. And what I generally do is I will keep a few water bottles like in my pack, and I put like freezer bags, Ziploc freezer bags, and I will pour the mixture into that and get it to the right consistency, and then snip the end of the bag off like a cake pourer, and then just pour it into the track that way. You don't want it too thin because it'll damage the details of your track. In the same token, you don't want it too thick because then it will just kind of clump. So
And
finding the right consistency is kind of key. Um, and the Penny was saying you can do a thin layer base and cure it with light fast, and then do a second pour.
and I've never had a lot of success with that UV resin. In small amounts, yeah, like sticking a handle back on a coffee mug, yeah, but something that big, I don't know that
I've never tried it on anything like that. I
yeah.
would be interested to see if I could pull it off.
It may work. I'm
Um,
not saying it won't. I have never used
I'd
it.
want to do some practice tracks, like
Yeah,
go to a sandy area, or make fill a box with sand and press down my own print in it and practice casting it a few times to see if I can get the consistency right. But for for me, it's pretty much just plaster of Paris because
yeah,
it's cheap and effective,
and it's a whole
and
lot.
you don't have to let it dry for like a week.
And you can, like you said, with those Ziploc bags, you can make up like 20 or 30 of them bags. It's not going to take hardly any room up.
Mhm.
And then all you got to do is come up with the water where you can get that out of any stream or whatever you're closest to.
True.
Whereas I've never seen any of the UV resin. I've never seen any containers bigger than that because like those as seen on TV thing with the little UV light. I don't know that they. I mean, they may. I don't deal with that. I deal with epoxy resin for some of
Now,
my
if
woodworking
you can
stuff.
get your hands on one of those high end digital scanners, um, you can get highly detailed images of the track without ever pouring it.
Yeah,
And we're finding those digital scanners are picking up detail that are largely destroyed by the plaster of Paris. So you might get dermal ridge detail with one of those scanners that you wouldn't get otherwise. Um, and it's not like you can get dermal ridging in a track every time anyway. The conditions got to be just about perfect for you to get a dermal ridge out of a track. Um, that's a great question. It
yeah.
really got me to thinking. But yeah, there are lots of ways to cast a track. I wouldn't get overcomplicated. The more
Yeah.
pieces you got to take in the field, like a UV light and all of that, the more you got to pack in, the heavier pack's going to be.
And
So
I'm old school. What
I
works
am too.
works. And plaster Paris and stuff like that. That's I mean, it's tried. It's been used in law enforcement for decades. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, I know
Right.
there's and then UV resin may work great.
Mhm.
I've never tried it on anything that big. Biggest project I've ever used UV resin on, like I said, is fixing a handle on a coffee mug or uh, like some of the working on my son's Jeep, the dash of his Jeep, trying to pull it out and repaint it. Some of the pieces breaking and using that for that. It works great for that. But as far as casting a print, I can't say yes or no on it. I
3D
personally would
Havoc
not use
says
it.
3D scanners aren't that good though. Not there yet. The technology is getting better though. Another thing, if you're going to cast a print, take all the pictures you want that you plan on getting of the print before you try, because it is very easy to destroy a print when pouring that plaster of Paris. You've got to be careful with that print. If you're going to take pictures of the print, remember digital images are free. You don't have to pay to have them developed. You can get high resolution. Make sure there's something in the image for scale in all your pictures, and take pictures from multiple angles. Take it from from toes toward heel. Take it from heel toward toe. Take it from each side. Take it from directly above. Take it from oblique angles. If you've got a good print, don't be afraid to take 20 or 30 photos of it, every conceivable angle, and then once you've got all the pictures you want, take a video of it and just slowly move it around. The level of detail you get and save for posterity is going to be worth the time you spent doing it, because again, I know lots of times that the track has been just basically ruined by attempting to cast it. And Robbie will tell you it's the same thing with tracking. Some soil just does not lend itself to casting a track. There's certain types of soil that just don't hold a print worth a crap. If you've got a very thin, powdery, dusty soil, if you better be very careful with the hairspray, because hairspray will just blow it everywhere. And even if you are able to get it successfully held in place with the hairspray, it's that soil is so thin that just pouring the plaster in it itself might just destroy the track. So casting is not always perfect. It's not always the right answer, and casting sometimes just absolutely destroys your track. You've got to have ideal circumstances in order to cast a good print, and it's very difficult to do. I found a couple of partials that I thought would have made fantastic tracks, but they were right in the edge of water, so pouring plaster into that was impossible. But I have yet to find what I consider the holy grail of casts to cast a really good print. I found a lot of partials over the years, and I've yet to have one really turn out as good as the pictures. Griff has a good point. He says, when taking tracking classes, lower angle light source can light up a detail not seen when looking directly down on the track. Yeah.
Absolutely. Most people don't realize how much light affects a track.
Exactly. Somebody made a comment that I thought was hilarious. I missed it. Where's it at? Oh, David By says, get Doc to lay down next to the track for scale.
Poor old Doc. Not even here, still getting the short end of the stick.
Kevin Bode says, Aquanet will hold anything, just spray from a distance. Yeah, but when you go to Walmart and you buy Aquanet and you don't have hair, they look at you a little weird.
What do you need that for? Oh, nothing.
William Nidox says, I use baby powder for moisture barrier when casting thin layer to dusting.
Yep. I mean, there's 1,001 different little tricks and things that you can do and stuff like that. I mean, so like we say about everything else, what we say is not the way; it's just a way.
It's just a way. And I highly recommend, if you find a good track that you think is worth trying to cast, take a ton of pictures of it and video before you try to cast it. Because you're going to find that it is really easy to destroy a track with casting material. Penny Van says, so many substrates for casting is impossible to pick up dermal ridges. Yeah, you've got to have pretty much ideal circumstances. I mean, like a pristine track in mud that dries quickly after it left. That'll leave dermal ridging. But if you find a print in snow, you better hope it's fresh snow, because if it's frozen and thawed and frozen and thawed, the track is going to be so distorted, you're not going to be able to get any of the original detail.
Yep.
It might even be way bigger than it originally was after it's thawed and refrozen a couple times. Penny Vance says, if you have to bring out a lining material like plastic wrap, it's all over for picking up detail. Exactly. At that point, you're just casting the shape of the track. I think at that point you would probably be better off with as much high resolution photography as possible.
But the thing with that, Penny, is if you're bringing that out because the track's wet, you've lost any of that detail anyway. Because water inside that is going to wash away any dermal ridges anyway. So like DA said, you're at that point, you're picking up the shape of the track, and that's it. Shape and size and depth of the track. That's all you're going to pick up if the track's wet, that you have so wet that you have to use something like that, you're already in that boat. That's just
Michelle N says Aquanet and lighter will extinguish spiders. I'm right there with you on that one.
Been there, done that one.
Somebody says they see a crime show. David Bice, I did see a crime show on how to boil sulfur for snow tracks. We're like CSI Bigfoot. There we go. We got to have our own crime show now. Jim Lindell says spray dye on a wet print. That's good for bringing out detail for pictures at least.
Yeah.
There's a number of things you can do if you don't have dye. I mean, even if you've got like a packet of Kool-Aid, and just like sprinkling the dusting of Kool-Aid into it will highlight the colors.
Well, this same principle as dusting for fingerprints.
Mm-hmm.
A contrasting color of powder is getting stuck on those oil and dermal ridges and allowing you to see it.
K Bowers, I don't think I got any cuffs big enough for that. David Bice says it was a murder in the winter, and they were able to identify the shoes. That's a cool trick to know. Penny Van says, right, a bottle of fine powder would work. Robert D says, have Doc jump into the track for height. Poor Doc. He's not even here to defend himself. Poor guy. Poor little guy. Doc is in the process of moving the Dark Angel facility to its new facility, so he couldn't be here tonight. Poncho Zort says, can you put baby powder in the print? Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Penny Van says, those bulb-shaped things you squeeze to clean out a baby's nose? Put powder in one of those. That's a good idea. Or even like a flour sifter would probably do the trick.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is that you got to look at is how much room do you have? Where can you pack up this? And if you've got room for one of those sifters, fine. If not, then the whatever that thing is that Penny was talking about, I mean,
little aspirator bulb.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about what you got, where you can pack stuff up, where you can carry it, and not overload yourself.
Derek Buckles says, what is the largest foot track that is known to have been cast? When we had Ron Moorhead on the show, he talked of one they cast in Alaska that was 24 inches long. That's the biggest one I've ever heard of.
I think I've heard Dr. Meldrum say he's got a couple that are 22, 23.
That is a
20,
not to make a pun out of it. That is a big foot. Whew, that is a large fella.
It's a big youngin', as Doc would say.
Yeah, a 23, 24-inch track, that would have to equate to something probably
I'd
13
say you
to 14 feet range.
Yeah, I'd say probably comfortably in the 14-foot range.
That is a big rascal.
Probably 1,500 pounds or more.
Derek Buckles said it's almost a mountain giant. Pretty damn close, yeah. Penny says 22 or 23. Duke said last night on SOR he just got some 22-inch ones. Yeah, the biggest I've heard of was not Dr. Melder, was Ron Moorhead, when he said they cast one in Alaska that was right at 24 inches. With what was it? He said a 7.5 foot stride.
I think so. Yeah, I want to say
that is a big stride.
And that was a walking stride too, I believe he said. That was just like a casual out for a stroll stride.
Mike A says, has anyone you know cast an interesting Dogman track? I've seen a few pretty good Dogman tracks, and then I've seen others that were probably just a big wolf. I think what really stands out to me on a Dogman track is if it's truly a bipedal animal, the morphology of a regular paw is not going to be really good for balance. The most convincing Dogman tracks I've ever seen look like an oversized wolf print with an elongated heel pad. And not like massively elongated, like an inch or so longer than what a heel pad should normally be. There's some pretty good looking images of some possible Dogman tracks over on the North American Dogman Project website. But for the most part, Dogman tracks are kind of, when it comes to casted ones, are pretty rare. Robert D says the one in the picture that was way over the trees. How big would that be? 40 to 50 inches. I don't know. That one that picture of it standing where it's standing over the trees. God knows how big its tracks would be. That thing had been a monster.
No, that picture. William sent us.
Yeah. Well, let's give away our first walk-on roll of the night. Let's see. We need to come up with a good trivia question.
You want to do it on Dark Frontiers? Or you want to do it on one of the other series, or?
Well, let's do the first one on Dark Frontiers. Okay. Let me think. I don't want to make it too easy.
What about what was the name of the leader of the when he was first getting healed up by Abigail in her house? What was the name of the family that came after him?
That's a good one.
Not too hard, not too easy.
Yeah, not too hard, not too easy. What was the name of the family group that attacked at Abigail's cabin when Declan was still hurt?
And I'm watching the comments.
Northwood says I'm no good with trivia stuff. Sorry, man. Sorry, Penny. Griff, no, it's not.
I mean, yeah, but we need the name of the family.
Yeah.
Meg said Griff.
Yeah, Griff was incorrect though. That's not the name. Griff was a good guess, but that's not it.
I see it up top. I didn't see it.
Toshi got it. The Crawfords.
Yep. Good job, Toshi.
Tell you what, Toshi, send me an email with your information. You don't have to be completely accurate. The description you would like me to use, like height, weight, that kind of thing, that kind of basic physical description and name to my email address, which is daroberts@daroberts.net, and let me know which book you would like to, which series you'd like to show up in, and we'll make that happen.
Good job, Toshi.
All right. Need to put up my contacts, so make sure they've got it. So let me change the banner. There we go. My email address is going across the top of the screen now. So Toshi, shoot me an email, and we'll make it. Let me know what the description you would like me to use, the name you would like me to use, and which series you'd like to appear in, because I'm working on the next installment of first of
Dark Frontiers.
Dark Frontiers right now, but I've also got several other projects in the work. Thanks, Val. Val says, "What a cool prize! That's awesome. Thank you." Poncho, when we do some accounts, we're gonna be doing some account shows here in the next couple of weeks. That's one of the ones that I want to read on the air. We're just kind of talking tonight, since it's kind of just a celebration thing for my birthday. We're only kind of talking about casting and just kind of keeping it light tonight, but we are going to be doing some account shows here in the next week or two.
Well, me, you, and Doc actually did have a discussion about that, about having another email type show,
right,
or account type show. So that is in the work. I get it. That's just one of those things that sometimes you got to build up to where you got enough good material, and you don't just have like 5 or 6 accounts. You need to have enough to really have
fill the show.
Yeah, some meat and potatoes.
David, yeah, absolutely. You're eligible. Just because you're one of the alpha readers doesn't mean you haven't read the other books. So you've got just as good a shot at guessing at answering any of the trivia questions as anyone else.
And just because you're an alpha reader doesn't mean you remember every single detail of something that we have.
Dee says, "My birthday is in June. Happy birthday. What day in June?" Poncho says, "I'm a Zen reader." I do that too. When I get into a book, when I start reading a book, 2 or 3 chapters in, it's really more like I'm watching it in my head. I really don't even notice the words on the pages anymore. It's like I'm watching the movie in my head.
Yep, same here.
Kay Bauer says, "Never seen a Dogman or nothing, just ghosts and a possible crawler." DA, do you all have any thoughts on crawlers? Robbie, you want to go on that one first?
Crawlers is in what we talked about, the things that like maybe come out of graves and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
When we
okay, similar to the rake.
Yeah, like what was your author friend's name was on that time? Said he saw that hand coming out of the ground. That's what we're talking about.
That was Max, right?
Yeah, Max. My thoughts on that is I don't want to be nowhere around that.
I think it's some type of. I think a crawler is a type of ghoul.
Yeah, and there again, I don't want to be nowhere around that. I know my partner in crime's not here to second me on this, but would you look at that?
Yeah, time to go.
It's about 1/2 time to get the hell up out of here. So, yeah, I mean, I think Larry Carrera kind of said it best in his Monster Hunter International book. He said, pretty much anything that is quote unquote undead can be classified in that same category, or so I don't know, subgenre would be the right terminology for that. But zombies, ghouls, rakes.
I don't know. I think the rake might actually be a type of Wendigo.
You think so?
I think it might be. I think it might be closer related to the Wendigo. A lot of people, quote the rake being a creepypasta, which it might be. I mean, it might just be something that somebody made up as a creepypasta. But there are people that are seeing them, and they're seeing them in some fairly rural areas. And considering that some of the Wendigo description stories talk about it being emaciated, pale skin, gaunt. I think it might just be, them trying to give a name to something they didn't know what it was. I think, the rake stories are probably something similar, if not a type of Wendigo.
No, never thought about it that way, but yeah, it could very well be. I mean, but the general point I'm making is, and even if it is a type of Wendigo, you really could throw the Wendigo kind of in if you wanted to just have that big category, because it's kind of like the way we use Bigfoot. I mean, you use the term, or most people use the term Bigfoot, and they mean anything that's, a large,
Hairy
hairy,
hominid.
ape-like creature.
Right.
So, I mean, technically, you could look at it the same way and say, any of these, any ghouls or any zombies or anything like that, if it's undead and it's something
Well,
like that.
I don't think the Wendigo's a cryptid. I think it's supernatural in origin.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't classify a zombie as a cryptid either. That would
No,
be a
definitely
supernatural. So, really anything in that category. I wouldn't consider a vampire a cryptid. And like, I've said before, I think there are dogmen and I think there are werewolves. I think werewolves could be more like a shapeshifter, a skinwalker, or a curse or a demon or something like that. Yeah, because we've talked about that before too. A demon is going to appear to you and try to, if it's trying to scare you, it's going to appear to you as to what's going to really scare you. And if you're terrified of werewolves, that's probably what you're going to see.
Yeah, very well could be.
Yeah, I mean,
it's going to prey on your biggest fear.
Yeah. So, but that's also not to say that, that an actual werewolf couldn't manifest. And that, because how many times have we said, there's no cute, cuddly episodes with Dogman.
Right.
So who's to say that the ones that have had that, what are the words that we always say that hellhound, demon, demonic, terror. Who's to say that these encounters that we've talked about and read about and heard about with that were not we're just a true demonic werewolf versus a normal dogman that, like, people see taking off, like you saw walking across the road, or just my 2 cents worth on that. So
you could be 100% 100% on like that. Problem is the name cryptid in and of itself is means it's unknown. We don't know. We can give it our best guess based on observation and eyewitness accounts, but we just don't know. But we can still approach things logically. We can look at things and try to explain, why certain things happen. We don't have to just assume that it was a ghost simply because it, like you've got a spot, what they call orbs. Just because you got a spot on your camera doesn't mean it was a ghost. It could have been a bug. It could have been a dust particle. There are any number of things that an orb could be. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying that's the way it is all the time. But I think a lot of cases are just mistaken identity. And in some cases, I think it's to a large extent with cryptids as well, especially people that aren't familiar with what's out there. Case in point, a bunch of my idiot friends when we were young thought they heard a Bigfoot, and it was just an elk bugling. If you're not familiar with what's around you, you can mistake something for something else easily. I guarantee you, the first person that ever heard a screech owl probably had to check their shorts. That screech owl is a terrifying sound, and especially if you don't know what it is, it sounds like death itself is coming for you. Bernard Fox says, have you heard any other information regarding Philip Carnell, 58, went missing while hunting near Cave Spring and Ozark National Scenic Riverways? I'm trying to remember which. I think he was the fellow that went missing up near St. Louis, I believe. Didn't we talk? I think we talked about that with the Ladies and Blondes and Booze one night. That was he went missing right after the FedEx guy, not FedEx, the Amazon guy was killed. That was in about the same time frame. They've never actually released what happened to him. It just kind of disappeared.
He's the one.
Yeah, they found his gun. They found his gun. Yeah,
and blood. and thought he put his gun down to go track whatever he shot.
Ain't no
Yeah.
hunter ever leans their gun down and walks away going to track something. Because
No.
if you found something and it's still alive and wounded, you've got to be able to put it down. You can't let that animal lay there and suffer. No hunter is going to lay their rifle down and go wander off. Bernard Fox, another cover up by Park Services. I would say to a great extent, a lot of missing hunters are probably very quietly shut up by the Park Service, much like the Amazon driver that was attacked and killed. They have never released the necropsy details on the dogs that were supposedly responsible. They just that story just disappeared.
And have blocked FOIA by leaving the case open, even though they pretty much said that it's a closed case, but they left the case open so you can't FOIA it and get the information.
Right. Yeah, and that seems to be fairly common anymore, especially in missing persons cases or mysterious deaths, where they will just not close the case. They'll leave the case open because open cases are not like Robbie was saying, they're not subject to Freedom of Information Act requests. You can subpoena closed cases with a Freedom of Information Act, but you can't with an open case. Our roulette's right. No way, no hunter or anyone's going to abandon their gun.
Nope. Been hunting all my life. I have never set my gun down to go walk and look for something that I shot. Never.
The only times I've ever set mine down was to climb over a fence, then reached over and picked it up, or leaned it against a tree to go to the bathroom. That's about it. Other than that, it's in my hands. There's a lot of that case, that hunter that went missing. There's a lot of weird stuff around that.
Yeah.
And again, it was another one of those cases where like, oh, yep, this is what happened. This is the cover story, but it's still open. Jim Lindell says I glue it to my body. I generally keep mine on a lanyard. So,
well, but you think about it. Even though the case is totally different, if you start looking at just the weird aspects and the things that from the law enforcement standpoint that just don't make sense as to why law enforcement did what they did, and you and I both look at that and we tear stuff like that apart because we both done it for so long.
mm-hmm.
But think about the Oklahoma the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders. There's a lot of the same stuff, the same scratch your head moments as why was law enforcement doing? I mean, like law enforcement knew almost before the case was open that these dogs had killed that driver.
Right.
Just like that sheriff knew before anything happened that this guy was the one that was responsible for it. Even when dad comes in and says, hey, my son admitted to it. Here's the shoe that was the bloody footprint and blah, blah, blah. Oh, nope. We got our guy. Same thing. Oh, the dogs were not aggressive. The dogs were in the house and they went in and shot. No. The dogs did it. We know that for a fact. No, we don't. Nothing to see here. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Ken, glad you're with us, buddy.
What's up, Ken? So, when you get stuff like that, and there's just that glaringly obvious, I guess, is cover up the right word to use for that? I mean,
I don't know if they're covering it up or just hoping you'll forget.
It's a smokescreen, no matter how you look at it.
Right.
I mean, so you see that. It's just like, we did a story on Jason Knapp the other day on What's Really Out There. You remember hearing about that story, me telling you about that story?
Mm-hmm.
Kid that went missing from Table Rock in 98, I believe. Stuff like that just blows my mind when you get all these detectives out there and these dog teams and these cadaver dogs and there's nothing. When you get something like that, then you get this the other side of the spectrum, when you got law enforcement that's going out here and doing everything they can to find out what really happened, and they can't find anything. And then you get this other side where they've got pretty much a lot of the answers staring them in the face, and they don't want to go through with what's going to bring them to the end result. Yeah, stuff like that just irritates me and fascinates me on the same token.
Well, it's like when I was in LBL, when I was in Grand Rivers, which is just across the canal from LBL. I talked to a deputy that lived there, and he told me basically to just drop it. So I explained who I was. I showed him my credentials. That I'm a retired cop. I'm digging into this it was research for a book. And he goes, "Well, I'm going to tell you one cop to another. I would drop this if I were you."
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
yeah, something weird going on there. And
yeah.
that little town right across the canal from LBL is a weird little town. Grand Rivers, it is. I couldn't get anybody in Grand Rivers to talk about it, but just down the road, about 10 miles down the road in Paducah, hell, everybody I talked to had a story.
And that's weird how just that little bit of a disconnect from right there in the area makes the difference of, whether people want to talk about it or they don't want to talk about it. It's almost like the ones that are in the middle of it know, kind of like the Cajuns not wanting to speak about Rougarou. Don't want to say that name because it's gonna bring it out on us. But yet, if you get out into the main part of Louisiana and the New Orleans and bigger cities and places like that, you hear people talking about it all the time. But you get out there on the bayou, and you ain't gonna hear a true Cajun say Rougarou. It just won't happen. I know. I've got family members that are Cajuns, and they will not say it.
Talking about it to bring it down on you.
Yeah. So I mean, but it's almost like that same thing is that they don't want to talk about the stuff that's going on right outside their door in that little town because of fear of what. And is it a fear of, okay, if we talk about it, is it going to bring all these people in and we're going to have people crawling all over our town? Or is it a fear of, if we talk about this, it might manifest itself? You don't really know because nobody's going to talk about it. But then you get down, like you said, 5-10 miles down the road, you're like, oh, yeah, that stuff happens all the time.
Exactly. So I was going to say something else. Completely lost my train of thought. Somebody had mentioned, that's what it was. Somebody had mentioned mentioned a comment. I got to have to scroll back up and find it, that they hadn't heard any Dogman encounters in Texas. There's actually quite a few Dogman encounters in Texas. There's the story of the Converse werewolf that supposedly happened in the late 1800s. There are lots of Dogmen seen along the border, the Texas-Mexico border. And I've even gotten some unconfirmed reports that I'm having trouble running down of law enforcement and some Texas game wardens engaging a group of them somewhere near between I believe it was Dalhart, Texas, and Paladuro Canyon. I talked to a guy who lived in that area, and he said that he'd asked some folks about it, and they were very, very vague. They wouldn't really get into the details. So I believe something did happen down there, and I think it got shut up.
Well, we've heard multiple stories about the border crossings in Texas, and a lot of the coyotes, which is, if y'all don't know what a coyote is, I'm not talking about the canine. A coyote is what drug runners will call the people that they put the drugs on and send them across the border.
Also a term for the people that will guide illegals across.
Yeah. But there's multiple stories that we've heard about from Border Patrol, game wardens, like DA just said, that have had and I'm talking about like from different areas too, not just like from the same area, of, you know, Border Patrol agents hearing gunfire and rushing to the gunfire and finding dead cartel members and dead coyotes and all this spent ammunition brass all over the place and not having a clue what happened. Now, of course, the official write-up's probably going to say, you know, it came from a rival drug cartel that killed them. But
well, there was that group of Border Patrol in Arizona that did exactly that. They responded to automatic weapons fire, and near as they could figure, the story that one of the guys told, as near as they could figure, is that one of the guys from the drug cartel opened fire on a Dogman, and several of those things tore those guys to shreds. There was brass all over the place. There were broken weapons and people that had basically just been mauled. But they didn't find a single one of the dead creatures. But they found these giant canine tracks.
So see, I mean, there's multiple stories like that around. It's just, man, you just wish you could get out there and talk to some of these officers that, or know which ones would actually talk to you and get out there and get the real stories from stuff like that.
Yeah. Doyle Thorne's right. He says a mule is the one that carries the drugs. The coyotes ferries people. David By says they're also in the big thicket area near Houston. I've heard that quite a few times. Big thicket seems to be a pretty high traffic area when it comes to cryptids. Titan said surely there would be blood trails. If there were, they didn't follow them. Josh Dalton says you thought Cocaine Bear was bad. Cocaine, meth, or heroin Dogman. Trying to keep up with some of the comments there. Sorry. Yeah, Toshi. Yeah, Toshi is right. I think the Small Town Monsters guys are doing a thing on the Texas Dogman. Small Town Monsters did one of the best Dogman documentaries I've seen. It's called American Werewolves.
Yep,
Fantastic documentary.
It's on Netflix. It's really good.
Yeah, Small Town Monsters does good work.
Or it was on Netflix. It may not have been on. I saw it on YouTube the other day too. But it was on Netflix. They may have already pulled it, but you're right. It was really good.
Paul Webb says, DA, you hear of anything in the Appalachians around Kentucky, West Virginia, Virginia border? There's a lot of weird stuff on the Appalachian Trail. A lot of Bigfoot sightings. A lot of people have gone missing on the Appalachian Trail. Of course, then you've got stories of feral people. Lots of Bigfoot activity across the Appalachian area. That Dennis Martin case was a kid back in the 60s that got abducted by a Bigfoot. There are tons of Bigfoot stories and even Dogman stories. And there have even been Wendigo accounts in the Appalachians. That's right up close to your neck of the woods, isn't it, Robbie?
Yeah. You can get on the Appalachian Trail. There, one of the starting points for the Appalachian Trail is on Table Rock, where we was just talking about that Jason Knapp.
3D Havoc says, you guys watch any bad Dogman movies lately? I started but couldn't finish something called Dogman Island. I haven't seen that one, but there's one simply called Dogman, and then there's a second one called like Dogman 2, The Pack, or something like that. Those are pretty terrible. When the biggest actor in it is the guy that played the brother-in-law, and according to Jim, you know, it's a pretty high quality presentation. Plot wise, it wasn't that bad, but the acting's really, really cheesy, as is the special effects.
What was that one I told you I watched the other day? Man versus Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did it get any better?
Yeah, it was pretty good at the first. Then it got really cheesy about the middle third, and they really started showing the creature a little too much, and it was not the best effects. And then it got a little bit better towards the end, but it was another one of those where there was no big time actors at all in it. It was,
And that's not always necessarily a
no,
bad thing.
and the acting was not that bad. It was just some of the situations that they put him in, and some, like I said, I honestly think if they hadn't have showed the creature as close and as much as they did, it would have probably been a lot better. But when you got a horrible suit and you show it you light it and show it that much, it's gonna make your movie suffer just a little bit. But the premise of it was pretty good though.
The guy's brother goes missing,
yeah,
and
his brother goes missing. He's a former cop, and they kind of played that backstory. That was kind of what he was out there having to face. And he had kind of fell into a bottle. He stopped being a cop and fell into a bottle because of a real real bad situation that he got in. I want to say it was he shot a suspect, but the suspect had just shot a child, and he felt like he was to blame. He didn't, for the child being dead, because he didn't take care of it quick enough. I think that was sort of the premise of it, but that was kind of what was driving him. And then his brother goes, and it's kind of like he was going on the Appalachian Trail. They didn't ever actually say he was on the Appalachian Trail, but he was going to hike a long trail.
mm-hmm.
And he goes missing, and they go out and they start searching for. They find his campsite, find his gun. They pretty much call the search off. Well, he tells the sheriff, he says, "I'm going to stay out here for a couple of days." And the sheriff's like, that's big country out there. I really wish you wouldn't, but I can't stop you. So he goes out there, and then he ends up getting into it with the creature. And
I'll probably still watch it. I mean, I like the premise.
Yeah, it was like I said. If you can sit through the bad creature effect, which I'm pretty sure you can, it's not a bad movie. I've seen some that the creatures look better than that, but the acting and the plot line were so bad you couldn't sit through them, even though the creature looked a lot better than that. So, yeah, it's not. I mean, I think it was on Tubi, which there are a bunch of Bigfoot and Dogman movies on Tubi. So, any of y'all want to watch?
Most of them are pretty bad, though.
Yeah, but if you just like the schlocky B movie entertainment, that's your place. It's free. Download it and watch away. But now there are some good ones on there, because that Tubi's where I first saw Exist, and that's a good one. That's the found footage one.
Yeah,
it's done
Sentinel's in the house.
well.
What's up, Sentinel?
Sentinel.
Kay Bauer says Chupacabra Takes the Alamo was so bad I couldn't get through 10 minutes of it. I've watched a few like that were so bad you just couldn't watch them.
Yeah.
We should go ahead and do another trivia question.
Yeah, we're about an hour and a half in, so. You want to move to a different series?
Yeah, let's do a different series each time.
You want to do something from Ragnarok Rising?
Sure, that's a goodie. Let's see if anybody knows that series as well. Let me think of a good one. If you come up with one, go ahead. But let me think. I'm trying to think of a good one.
Well, last time we asked what the dogs' names were. That was
yeah.
That took a minute for somebody to get those, both of them.
Hey, got some strange rotor here. Hey, man, what's up? What's up, guys?
Mikey and Bubs, or excuse me, Captain Bubs.
Captain Bubs.
Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't catch that one.
Mikey went to the bathroom and Jessica's computer froze. The Bubs was sitting there just carrying the show. So I was like, "It's Captain Bubs. He is captain of the ship."
There we go.
Let's see. It's kind of hard to get a middle of the road question with that one because it seems like people are all like, last time we talked about that one. We could say no, that's pretty easy. You could say something, or you could ask like, what was the sheriff's name that gave Wiley the badge and told him that it was really heavy?
I don't know. That one would be somebody could flip to that scene.
That's true.
Pretty quickly, and get that one right away. I'm thinking of something a little more obscure, but not quite so obvious. How about what's the name of Wiley's boat?
It's a good one.
This is from Ragnarok Rising Titan. What is the name of Wiley's boat? Miss Lene, we can't do what's Wiley's occupation because that's right on the back jacket cover of the first book. That would be an easy one to catch.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike from Abnormals here. What's up, man?
What's up, Mike?
David By got it. Boom.
Yep.
All right, David, reach out to me. You got my email address. It's up there at the top of the screen if you don't have it. But shoot me an email. Give me the description you would like me to use and which book you would like to appear in. Oh, there's a good one. Josh Dalton was talking about what fact was proven in the grip of Wiley's pistol. Okay, we'll do one more here in a few minutes.
So we can combine Wild Hunt and Apex Predator on that. Well, and Lakeview Man if you really want to, because they're all three more interconnected than. They're all connected, but those three are really tightly.
Those three are the most closely connected, yeah.
Let's start thinking of a good one.
Mondoc says he shot me a DM on Discord. I'll have to log into Discord. I haven't logged in a bit. I need to check it. Judy Davis, no, it didn't belong to Doc Holliday. It was actually had once belonged to one of the Earp brothers. It was a gift from Wyatt to Virgil.
And there's a tie-in from a story from Ragnarok Rising that ties into Dark Frontier.
Mm-hmm.
The little details.
Papa Bear's right. Yeah, it belonged to Virgil. It was a gift to Virgil from Wyatt. Shade Viking says, just don't write Dave in as a McDonald's worker. Papa Bear says, how many books does Grandfather appear in? Hell, I don't even know that one off the top of my head. It's a lot of them.
All of them.
Well, how many series does he appear in? All of them except for one so far. Daniel Hoyle says, what do you guys think about the Mekele Mbembe, the African cryptid? I think it is probably like a remnant population of some sort of brontosaurus. The way they describe it, it's like a small brontosaurus, and it lives in those deep swamps back in the Congo region, where not a lot of people go. So yeah, I think there's something to it.
Yeah, and there's been
Karen Cole says she's heading to bed. Good night, Karen. Karen, thank you very much. Thank you for the happy birthday.
There have been researchers who have gone back there and taken books, like research books with pictures of dinosaurs and hippos and elephants and all that kind of stuff, and gone through and said, okay, point it out. And they'll like go to an elephant and point to an elephant. And they're like, no, that's not that. We see that every day. Hippo, no, we see that every day. We know what that is. And they keep on going. And finally get to the brontosaurus. And they're like, yep, that's it right there.
Yeah. Papa Bear, that's a good question. We should do let somebody answer that one just for giggles.
Well,
What is the twins' favorite song?
That one's stated in about 5 different books, I think.
K Bauer says, "Wait a minute, Doc can shapeshift, and y'all been picking on him." Yeah, but he turns into a were Pekingese, so it's not real dangerous.
A were Chihuahua.
Yeah, were Chihuahua.
Were Wawa.
Derek Buckles got it. Go Gophers.
Yep.
That's hilarious. I love that people catch these little details. It really does. It really makes me smile.
I'm still waiting for when me and Doc meet up with the twins and we have a movie trivia contest between the 4 of us.
Oh, that's going to happen at some point.
And everybody else is like, would these 4 please just shut up?
Griff says, have you ever seen an angry Chihuahua? Yeah, I think Doc might be more of a were Pekingese instead of a Chihuahua, the little fluffy one.
He's a little bit fluffy. Open Coloring Book said, happy birthday to you, DA.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
What was David saying? He said, DA's anyone caught the detail that we talked about the other day?
Dude, I don't remember which detail we talked about the other day. I've completely drawn a blank.
Translation for that, David sent him another email. So
yeah, or send me a text or something because I'm drawing a blank, brother. I'm sorry. Trying to think of something for the next trivia question.
I want to think of something good that ties all three of them in, because it's really easy to tie apex predator and wild hunt in. Or it's real easy to tie wild hunt and Lakeview man in, and they all three tying together, but it's kind of hard to get one that ties all three of them together really good. Or at least I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
I have a thought. See what y'all think. I was thinking maybe if everybody would like it, I could read a sampling from the next Apex Predator book. This would be Apex Predator Blood Moon, the second one. Since Cam's only got the first one out, I thought about reading the first chapter just to let everybody kind of get their whistle wetted for the next Apex Predator. What do you guys think of that?
I think Hooter Transport just has the comment of the night right there.
What did he say? I missed it.
I'm popping it up right now.
Looks like Scrappy Doo. Let me at him. I'll splat him. Docky power. I'll give him a left and a right and a.
Oh, poor dog.
Oh, that is the best.
I told you that's the comment of the night right there.
Oh, he's now Scrappy Doo, man. That is just he's the Scrappy Doo of the werewolf scene. He's where Scrappy. That's too funny.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going to be laughing about that one for a while. Docky Power, Tim's got it. Do you guys like me to read a chapter from Apex Predator Blood Moon? I'd be happy to do it. And then we'll do another giveaway. What do you guys think?
I'd say go for it.
Got a few people saying yes. That would be Judy Davis says that would be awesome. Edison Cadwell says, great, excellent idea, DA. Don Donaldson says, go for it. All right, I'm going to read the prelude from Apex Predator Blood Moon. That is the second book of the Apex Predator series. And that's the next, I think that's the next one after after Cam finishes the next installment of Codename Wild Hunt. I think he's going back and doing this one. So this one will give you guys kind of a taste of that. Prelude, darkness returns. Beware of the man who does not talk and the dog that does not bark. Cheyenne proverb. The gentle early spring brought with it the smell of budding flowers as Deputy Frank Bonner rolled down the window of his white Carroll County patrol SUV. He'd chosen a remote section of the county to park and eat his lunch. He worked the graveyard shift, and thankfully the calls had been few and far between tonight. Parking next to a cemetery might creep most people out, but Bonner felt it to be peaceful there, especially late at night when there weren't any cars on this stretch of Arkansas Highway 62. He was just out of Eureka Springs and decided to take a few moments to eat before things got busy. He had no sooner unwrapped his sandwich when he heard a familiar whine from the back seat. He took a breath and blew it out slowly while shaking his head. I haven't forgotten you, Bosco, he said, reaching back and ruffling the fur of his partner, a 3-year-old Belgian Malinois. God forbid I get the first bite, you greedy Maligator. Chuckling, he broke off a chunk of the cold sub sandwich he'd bought hours ago at a convenience store in Eureka Springs. He didn't like giving Bosco bread, but a few bites wouldn't hurt him. Bosco took the offered morsel with eager anticipation, leaving slobber on Bonner's now empty hand. "Ooh, gross," he said, laughing. "Thanks a lot, buddy." Bosco ignored him and happily scarfed down his food with the eagerness that only a hungry dog can show. Flicking the worst of the slobber out the window and not to get it on his seats, Bonner wiped the rest on a towel he kept by the MDT for the occasional slobber-based emergency. For those of you that aren't familiar with the term Maligator, law enforcement tends to refer to Belgian Malinois as Maligators because they have a very high proclivity for biting and they're very high energy. And MDT is a mobile data terminal. Great, he mused, another sandwich with a distinct aftertaste of dog slobber. Bosco looked through the little pass-through window, in an eager anticipation of another bite. Good Lord, boy, said Bonner, chuckling. Can I get a bite, too? Just as he was starting to take a bite, the radio picked up and a call came across. Any available unit, said dispatch. Report of a possible domestic violence in progress in a vehicle parked off Highway 21 near Urbanette. 226 responding, said a voice from the radio. That a boy, said Bonner. I'm 20 minutes away from there. 229 responding, said another voice. Even better, said Bonner. Now I won't get called as backup. Copy 226 and 229, said dispatch, showing you both en route. With that, the radio returned to silence. Bonner started again to take another bite when Bosco growled. At first, he thought Bosco was growling at him for eating the sandwich, but dismissed that thought when he realized Bosco wasn't looking at him. He was staring out the back passenger window with his hand, his hackles were up. Calm down, buddy, he said. It's probably a damn skunk. I'm not letting you out so you can come back to the car smelling like skunk spray. Bonner took a bite and looked out the window while he chewed. He didn't see anything moving. He cocked his head to the side and didn't hear anything. It took him a moment to realize that he didn't hear anything at all. No night sounds of spring, no frogs, no bugs, nothing at all. It was dead silent. Setting the sandwich down on the console, well out of Bosco's reach, he chewed slowly as he flicked on the LED spotlight mounted by the driver's window. He began panning the light across the trees, searching for anything out of place. He paused at a section of trees at the back of the graveyard where he saw eyeshine. Not that eyeshine is out of the ordinary in the woods, it just surprised him to see 4 of them. That coupled with the fact that they were all yellow and at least 8 feet off the ground. It was rather disconcerting. Bosco continued to growl low in his throat. It's probably just owls, he said, not sure if he was reassuring the dog or himself. One by one, they blinked out and vanished completely. He frowned and panned the light back and forth across the trees, but couldn't find them again. Where are you? He muttered to himself. And more importantly, what are you? Bosco growled again, but this time he was on the opposite side of the SUV. What's up, buddy? He asked, turning in that direction. There wasn't anything he could see, but he was beginning to get a bad feeling that something was out there, something that was hunting him, and that thought made him extremely nervous. He started to reach for the gear shift, but stopped himself just before shifting into drive to leave. Easy there, he said. I'm supposed to be the guy that goes looking for the scary stuff. I can't be running from some damned animal. Stepping out of the SUV, he took out the flashlight he kept on his belt and clicked it on. The light of the powerful Surefire XML U2 lit up the area with its 1200 lumen beam. Placing his hand on his duty pistol, a Gen 4 Glock 17, he began shining the light around the area. Behind him, Bosco's growling had ceased and he was starting to whine. Bosco usually whined whenever Bonner got out of the vehicle, but this time it was different. It was not an eager sound. It sounded afraid, and that bothered Bonner even more. Suddenly, Bosco went completely silent. Turning around, Bonner investigated the window and saw him down in the floorboard, as far down as he could go. Bonner looked around the vehicle but didn't see anything. Glancing inside, he didn't see anything wrong, but something stuck out to him. His sandwich was gone. Bosco, he said, did you steal my sandwich? Behind him, he heard the soft crunch of gravel as something stepped onto the white chat driveway near the back of the SUV. Turning quickly as he drew his pistol, his flashlight lit up the hair-covered chest of something enormous. He froze, midway through raising his pistol. Standing before him was something out of a nightmare. Slowly panning the light upwards, he saw the outline of a gigantic wolf, only it was towering over him on 2 legs. It brought one massive arm up to protect its eyes from the intense beam of the flashlight. It suddenly occurred to him how much of a mistake he'd made by not leaving when he'd had the chance. Bonner started to regain enough composure to bring the weapon up the rest of the way when he felt the hot breath of something behind him, breath that was coming down onto his clean-shaven scalp and neck. Before he could react, powerful hands grabbed him around the head, completely engulfing it. He felt a sharp twist and then heard a crunching sound that he knew had to be the vertebrae in his neck snapping. He dropped to the ground like a rag doll, unable to move so much as a finger. He heard the pistol clatter to the ground as he lost all sensation in his body. So this is what it feels like to have your spine crushed, he thought. He remembered a Discovery Channel documentary on the French Revolution that said when a person had their head cut off by the guillotine, their brain could live up to 3 minutes. He thought that had to be bullshit at the time, but now he thought there might be something to it. Then he heard breaking glass, and Bosco started screaming in pain. Every fiber of him wanted to go to his rescue, but he couldn't move. Then the screaming stopped as suddenly as it had begun, ending abruptly with a wet, crunching sound followed by the sound of tearing flesh. He lulled his head to the side, not of his own accord, so he knew that something had moved him. His head bounced to an angle where he could look down on his body with odd detachment. He could see two of the monstrosities ripping his clothing and armor away. Then there was a surreal moment when they began tearing away pieces of his flesh and eating them. He could see chunks of shredded muscle and skin pulled away as they tore into him. It seemed distant, like he was watching it happen on a movie and not to him. Then two more of the beasts joined in and started pulling out internal organs. He was losing focus, and it all seemed distant and unimportant. It took a moment for his brain to finally register what was happening. Then something in his brain focused for a final moment as he screamed internally. "Oh God," he screamed in his mind, "they're eating me." And that's the end of the prologue.
Yep. I remember that one.
Jim Lindell, get in the car. Get out of there. I hope you guys like that. That's the prelude to Apex Predator Blood Moon, the second in the series. Hope I didn't do too bad of a job. I'm not the narrator that Cam is.
Very good job.
Thanks, man. I may start doing that from time to time. Just do a chapter from a random book.
I think it'd be a pretty good idea.
Hopefully everybody enjoyed that. Miss Lene says, "Yikes, I forgot how scary that book is." Edson Kidwell says, "Awesome, DA, thank you." Deloitte Montgomery says, "Oh my God, I just got through reading First Frontier, Dark Frontier in one day. Cannot wait for the next one. I didn't want it to end. I love some Westerns. I can't wait. I just can't. Oh, I can just see the movie in my head. That would be awesome. I'd love to see that made into a movie." 3D Havoc gave us a super chat. Thanks, man. Appreciate the super chat. So DA Shivers, thanks for the read. I'm off to bed. Happy birthday, buddy. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Shade Viking says, "Good show, DA. I just felt like it was me getting eaten." Spy in the Sky says, "Oh my goodness, that was super scary."
Well, that's when it's good.
Well, I'm glad y'all liked it. I really am. Thank you so much. Mr. Chef Yoda says, "Okay, I came back on at a bad time." I may start doing some of the short stories and releasing them as uploads to the channel, because I've got a whole bunch of short stories that aren't available anywhere else. So they're not even in short story compilations. So I might just do a little narration, just have like a fire burning in the background, just do the audio myself, read them, and upload them to the channel. I've been thinking about that.
I think that'd be a pretty good idea. It's like Shade said, that's when you've done it good. Is he felt like he was the one that's being attacked. I mean, that shows that you're immersing your readers in what's going on. And I'm like you. I can sit there and read, and I just kind of lose track of the words, and it's just like watching the movie in my head.
Daniel Hoyle says, "I'd love to see all your books in the Lily series in movies or TV. That would be awesome. I would love that." Penny Van says, "Any of you ever played the video game Gabriel Knight, The Beast Within back in the early 90s? I can't say that I have. I don't play a whole lot of video games anymore."
I don't remember that one.
It doesn't sound familiar, but I don't play a whole lot. Roxanne Delgado says, "Da, all your books are great. I feel I feel a whole lot better than Stephen King." Well, thank you so much. That is awesome. Thank you. Ken Brock says, "The Patreon is totally worth it. I've already got my money's worth out of the short stories." Thanks, brother. I appreciate it, man. There's quite a few short stories over there. And those have been up on the Patreon for a while, so some of those are probably going to be ones I narrate. Jim Lindell, I just myself. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And now, well, you want to read the rest of the book. Let's see. That's a good question. Mike A says, "Da, if you could pick a director for your favorite story, who do you pick, alive or dead?" I don't know. That's a good question. Robbie, did we lose your audio? Because it suddenly got real quiet. Yep, we lost your audio. Okay. Robbie's going to pop out, pop back in. Once in a while, he just loses audio. I don't know, maybe Martin Scorsese. Scorsese does really creepy stuff. I think he could do the tension factor high, or maybe Wes Craven. Wes Craven does horror very well. There he is. Yep.
Well, we made it longer this time than we did last time.
Yeah, you made it almost through the whole show.
I mean, there must be some kind of setting or something. I haven't changed any settings since we switched from StreamYard to Melon, but there must be just some setting that I've got to. Which I don't know.
We're still working out the bugs too.
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be a setting for it to work. As long as it works, then all of a sudden it goes off, and then I don't know. I don't know what causes it.
Penny Van says that game had a scene like what DA just read. I got my throat torn out by a werewolf over and over. Robin Blake says she'd enjoy that a lot. Yeah, I think it's something I'm going to start doing. I think at least once a week I'm going to narrate a short story or maybe even a chapter from a book.
I think that's an awesome idea.
I think it's a good way to promote, and who knows, they might even really take off on the channel. Daniel Hoyle says, "Da, where does Sasquatch in Afghanistan fall in the timeline?" It falls in early. It's way before any of the books in the series, except for the Dark Frontiers, obviously, because that's when Will was still in the military. So that's probably 10 years before the first Apex Predator books.
Yep.
Deloy says, "I know, Melanie, when you start one of these books, you can't put it down. That's awesome. Thank you so much." Griff says, "Would you want to go for the scare or the cerebral side?" I don't know. I definitely would want somebody that could do the action sequences right. But at the same time, I want them to be able to ratchet up the tension. Wes Craven was really good at doing tension, doing the tension. But Martin Scorsese does action scenes like freaking crazy. So I don't know. I don't know if I could name really any one particular. I know several that I wouldn't want doing it. Michael Bay, for example, because I don't just want it to be women running in slow motion and explosions.
Yeah, Michael Bay is not. I mean, he's had some good things, but to me, in my opinion, he's messed up way more than he's made good.
Papa Bear says, "Yep, Will and I were chewing the same ground in East Afghanistan." Well, Papa Bear, you and I having the conversation is actually what inspired that story, the dog soldier story. You and I talking about the Barmanu when we were shooting texts back and forth. You telling me about the Barmanu is what inspired that story. So in a lot of ways, Papa Bear, that story, you were part of the brainchild for that story. Stuff you were telling me. Toshi says DA has a way of hooking you with his books. They have everything: action, drama, comedy, heartbreak, horror, etc. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it, dude. Shade Viking says if you get in the zone, I'm sure the books write themselves. Yeah, they tend to do that especially once you get the action flowing. And I have this funky habit. Like if I do a combat scene, I will write down the names of everybody involved in the combat scene, and every time they like say Clark fires a 3-round burst at a Dogman, pop, 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 pop. I will put 3 tick marks next to his name and keep track of every round expended in the firefight to make sure they're changing magazines when they're supposed to. Northwood says, because of DA's books, I'm going to need to build a new bookshelf. That's a good problem, though. Yeah, I've always hated the Hollywood tropes of, like in the movie Beverly Hills Cop. Funny movie, but I think he fires like 60-some rounds out of a Beretta and never changes magazines. I always hated that. I always hated the people when they got the obvious details wrong. I always believed that a story, that if you're going to write a book, that story is like a house. And the foundation of that house are the little details, the little everyday real world details. Like there's only 17 bullets in a Glock 17 magazine. If you 18, if you can't one in the pipe, it means you're not going to fire 32 rounds without changing magazines. There's also not a selector switch that you turn off the safety on a Glock. That's something else that drives me crazy. Or people that refer to magazines as clips and clips as magazines. They're not the same thing.
Clips for rifles.
Yeah, clips will hold ammunition, and magazines feed ammunition. The only rifles you're going to see a clip on is like the old M1 Garand, or I had a Mosin Nagant that you could clip feed. You could strip a clip into them.
Yep, stripper clips.
But magazines are spring fed, so any weapon, like for example, this right here. This is a Glock 26 magazine. It's a magazine because it is spring fed. As one round pops out, the next one is pushed up. Clips don't do that. Mondoc says, dang, I was going to say the Glock safety thing. Yeah, Steve Patton says cocking the hammer on a Glock. They do the same sound effect whenever somebody brings up a pistol on a TV show, and it drives me crazy because it's next time you watch, let's just say Law and Order, when they bring a pistol up, you listen to the sound effect. It's the sound of a hammer being cocked back on a wheel gun. But they do that whether it's a Glock or whatever. There is no sound when you bring a Glock up. It's just you bring it up and it's in position.
Yep. Or my biggest pet peeve is cops on movies or TV shows bringing their gun out and then racking around. What cop walks around with a gun that is not ready for action?
Yeah, I don't know any cop worth their salt that didn't carry with one in the pipe.
Yeah.
If they've got a rack around in the chamber, the guy that's trying to kill you is not going to wait while you put a round in the chamber. Shade Viking, that's funny. He says, I bet DA carries a notepad. If he gets an idea, he's at a coffee shop, his mind's probably always writing. Yeah, for most writers, there are 2 modes. There's writing, and then there's researching your writing. And literally everything you do in life is research. I don't always have a notepad on me, but I have a notepad app on my phone, or I will just kick on the voice recorder and make myself notes. I do that all the time. But yeah, basically, I make notes pretty much all the time. Or if I see something really cool, like, oh, that's got to be a detail in a book, I'll take a picture of it. Daniel Hoyle says, "We're racking around when you just saw them rack one." Yeah, that drives me crazy. Anytime you see somebody with a 12 gauge, like they will fire and then they'll point it at somebody and rack around. Well, if you just racked around, where's the expended one? Why did you need to rack around if you just racked one a minute ago? Penny Van says, years ago, some men I worked with asked me why I needed so many rounds. I said, I can take out 40 men trying to come in the house, and if there's a 41st man, I'll dual wield the pistol whip him. Hell yeah. Well, when I was on duty, when I was a cop, I had, on any given time, counting what was in my weapon, I had about 55 rounds. I think it was 52 rounds I counted between the 3 magazines on my belt, the one in the weapon, and that's not counting my backup pistol because my Glock 26 was my backup. And then I think I had another 100 rounds in my bag. Mike A, exactly. In every Hollywood movie, when someone touches a gun, it's click, click. And if you listen, it's the sound of, if I had my 38 somewhere near, actually I've got my my black powder. It's this sound. Did you hear it? Robbie, did you hear it?
No, I didn't hear it.
My sound filter might be cutting it out. It is the sound of a hammer going back. Papa Bear says, an old command sergeant major told me, never take just enough, always take extra. Yeah, you need to have spares. You need to have enough. Yeah, Daniel Hoyle says, firing 20 rounds from a revolver before reloading. Yeah, I've seen that in movies too. It just drives me crazy. And it's just one of those details that I like to make sure I've got right in my books. I might miss a detail occasionally. I might screw up a detail here and there. But for the most part, I try to make everything as realistic as humanly possible. Yeah, Griff says all sound effects are revolvers. Yeah, they pretty much. Yeah, they. When somebody brings up even an automatic, you hear that racking of the cylinder. Whew, it's already after 10.
Yeah. That's just like the scene in RoboCop. I just rewatched that again the other day when they're in the drug factory and they go to the little standoff and everybody points the guns at each other and it's like 500 clicks going off, but nobody has touched slide one or pulled any hammer back. But they bring them up and all of a sudden that's all you hear is hammers being pulled back and slides being racked, but ain't nobody touched the first thing on their gun except raise it up, come to the high ready.
Little Patty, that's something that a huge pet peeve of mine with TV shows and movies. That you will see, I've seen countless times of that, like on a TV show, you'll see a cop put his hand over the car and fire blind. You're responsible for where every bullet goes. Every bullet that leaves your gun, you are responsible. If you hit a bystander, if you damage a building, you are responsible for every bullet you fire. Even if if lead's flying all around you, you're still accountable for every bullet you fire. So you better be damn sure of your target. If there are people behind somebody, I'm not shooting at them. I'm not. Even if they're shooting at me, I'm going to be trying to get a clear line of shot, but I can't do it if there's bystanders in the way because it's you run the risk of killing somebody. Well, somebody that's not the intended bad guy. But yeah, and you fire to end the threat. But the problem is if it's like on TV where they've got the gun up and they like showing this much of their face out from behind a person that they've got a gun to their head. There's no cop is going to just snap fire and shoot the guy in the head because the odds of killing that victim are pretty high. Now, you've got a guy with a sniper rifle across the street that's like, I've got a shot. Yeah, take it. But I don't know. Okay, I know maybe one guy who was probably good enough with a firearm. He could snap, draw, and shoot somebody. But I ain't that guy. I'm a pretty good shot, but I don't think I was ever that good. The real world guy I based Daniel Clark off of, is that freaking good with a handgun. Swear to God, that guy was born with a pistol in his hand. When we would run the qualifiers, they would tell him to open up his shot group so they could count the individual hits, because his target would come back and we would be instructed to shoot at the head and at center mass, and his targets would have 2 holes in them, one in the head and one in center mass. And they're like, we can't count this. We don't know if you missed. And he's like, trust me, I didn't miss. I'm like, I know damn good and well he didn't miss, but like, well, we can't count your score because we have to be able to, trace where every bullet went through the paper. So he would, like, for headshots, he would put a smiley face on them, or he would draw a big circle in the middle of the, like punch the circle out in the middle of the center mass. He was just that freaking good with a pistol. Shade Viking says, DA, that makes sense. It's not like the old days of Westerns, just shooting, nobody cares. These days, you got to explain all the actions to be responsible. It's part of the job. It makes sense. Yeah, Robbie can tell you, if you shoot 2 bullets, you better be able to count where both those bullets went.
Yep. Because if one of them bullets goes somewhere you don't want it to go, and it does something you don't want it to do, and it hits somebody you don't want it to hit, the rest of your life has just been screwed up.
Yep. Yeah, Jim Lindell says collateral damage. That's not an excuse. There might be collateral damage, but you're still responsible for it.
Yep.
And that's the one thing that drives me nuts about those cop shows is they'll fire 30 rounds at somebody, just blasting the crap of everything behind the guy before they finally hit him. And, then they finally put the guy down. Then 10 minutes later, they're back out on the beat chasing another bad guy. Doesn't work like that. You get in a critical incident and you shoot somebody, they take your gun and you go on, like, at least probably minimum 2 weeks administrative leave while the shoot is thoroughly investigated. And your department does not get to investigate your shooting. Generally, if like when I was with the sheriff's department, if I'd shot somebody, state would have come in and investigated the shooting.
Yep. That's the general way it's done pretty much across the board. Like our state department, we call it SLED, State Law Enforcement Division. Anytime there's a OIS, they come in, they do all the paperwork on it. You get your barrel, or you get your gun back, you take it out and you look through the barrel and you see they've gone inside and scribed on the inside of the barrel. It's not the same gun. It's got bullets that were in there will come back with stuff etched on it to where they fired to try to match up or to match the barrel to make sure it's not a quick process. Even if it's 100% justifiable shoot and it's airtight from start to finish, like he said, you're going to be out of mandatory week, if not more.
In most departments, it's usually more. And way the most departments handle critical incidents now is, let's say, for example, Robbie and I are working a job together. We both take a call. We go to a bank robbery call. There's a guy inside robbing the bank. He's armed. He's already shot somebody. Robbie and I go in. He turns and shoots at us. Maybe hits one of us. Maybe doesn't. We both return fire and put the guy down. Hostages are safe. We didn't hit anybody. Good shoot. Even though there's cameras on 12 different angles that show us return fire and end the threat, we're probably both going to be on administrative leave for at least a week. Plus, they still won't even do what's called a critical incident debriefing for at least 24 hours. Like, go home, get some rest, get away from here. You are not part of this investigation. We will call you when it's time to talk to you, because they don't want to talk to you about, because your memory is going to be sketchy of everything that happens right there when that adrenaline's still dumping. They want to give you time to come down off the adrenaline to relax before they get your official statement, to give your brain time to process everything that just happened. Because, as we've often said in law enforcement, something you had a half second to decide will be argued about by lawyers for the next 5 years, who have all the time in the world to say, this is what you should have done. This is how you should have reacted. Oh, yeah, well, I had bullets going by my head and I didn't have that long. People that sat behind desks will second guess every decision you make when you were given half a second or a heartbeat to make that decision.
Yep.
Yeah, Toshi says it's like the showdown in the first Lakeview Man. When Clark has that shootout with those nuts in the car he plows into. Yeah, they every one of those guys were off duty until they were cleared to go back to work. And Clark was in the hospital for most of it. So
Yep. But there again, that's what's so good about DA's books, is because he knows the process, because he was in it, just like me, and he knows that, it's not like on TV where the detective runs out in the street, starts blasting away at the car driving down the street, and he puts his gun back in his shoulder holster and sits there. All right, let's go to the next place where we think he's going to be at. And they go, it's not like that. I mean, at all. You pull your gun out, you fire your gun, especially in a even if you were totally justified in going after this person, you pull your gun out and you shoot at a fleeing suspect like that, and there's other cars around, there's other people around, you're probably gonna get fired for that. No, I don't care. The only way that something like that would be justified is if he was actively trying to run people over, and you can justify that what you were trying to use that deadly force in was going to save somebody else's life. Because you can't shoot at somebody who's driving away in a car unless there's a justifiable reason, i.e. he's trying to mow over civilians or run other cars off the road or something like that.
Hey, Shane, thanks for being here, man.
Shane.
Thank you, buddy. Daniel Hoyle had a comment. He said, why don't they give civilians the same respect after a self-defense shooting? In some cases, I would say depends on the department. I know in Missouri is a castle doctrine, stand your ground, constitutional carry state. You don't have to have a concealed carry permit to carry concealed in the state of Missouri, as long as you're not a felon and you're over 21. So if you get involved in a shooting in Missouri, depending on the department, like if it was St. Louis or Kansas City, might be a different story. But around here, if you've got multiple witnesses that say this guy fired on you and you fired him, cops are probably going to be pretty respectful. They're still going to have to take your gun, because it's still going to have to be processed and everything. There's a whole process behind any shooting. But if you're talking about people being treated unfairly by law enforcement after a shooting, it depends on the department. It depends on the policies of that department. But unfortunately, until if you show up at a shooting and one guy's dead, both were armed, it's your word against a dead guy, and they've got to look at that as a possible homicide until they rule it out. Not saying that justifies how people get treated sometimes, but every situation has to be treated. Well, even when a cop shoots somebody, it's investigated as a homicide.
Mm-hmm. In South Carolina, we're actually, I don't know if it was the same way in Missouri, but we were actually charged. If we have a shoot, until it's cleared, we're actually charged with murder. And that does two things. That, number one, if it's justified by SLED and everything's good, it protects us from double jeopardy.
Right.
Number two, they've already got the paperwork done. If it turns out that you shouldn't have done it, they're already a step ahead of the curve.
Yeah, they're already ready to slap the cuffs on you. I never had to discharge my firearm in the line of duty, other than at the range. I never had to shoot somebody, and I count myself lucky that I went my entire career without ever having to. I have drawn my weapon on a number of occasions, but I never had to actually shoot somebody. I came very close a couple of times. It's not a situation I ever wanted to be in. It's not a situation, but it's one I'd made peace with, years before. That if I had to draw my weapon, I knew in my head that if I'm drawing my weapon, I've exhausted other options. As I was generally very good at talking people down. If I'm drawing my weapon, things have gone bad. Let's do another trivia question. You're coming up on the 2.5 hour mark.
All right.
Here we go. This one fits right in. I know he showed up in all 3 series. He showed up in the Apex Predator series. He showed up in the Lakeview Man series, and he's also showed up in Codename Wild Hunt, which is where his primary series. But what book was the first appearance of Gideon?
Good one.
It's not what you think.
I was about to say, because a lot of people probably going to get that one wrong.
We'll give that one a couple minutes, let folks think about it. Robbie, I'm looking something up real quick. Will you watch to see if anybody says that quickly?
Oh, I think Don got it.
You think?
Yeah, it was
Blood Moon. Don, you were absolutely right, man.
I knew it was Apex Predator. I just wasn't 100% sure if it was Blood Moon or not. That's why I didn't want to out and out say it, because if it wasn't that, but
Don Donaldson.
Yep.
Don, my email is rolling across the top of the screen there. Shoot me an email with your particulars and which series you'd like your character to appear in. And Steve was close behind. Yep. But Steve, you were a close second, but Lil Patty was pretty close too. Wow. A lot of people got that right.
I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, most people would just say Codename Wild Hunt right off the bat.
Yeah, but it wasn't his first appearance. I might have to do something special for Little Patty and Steve for getting that right. Let me think about it. I'll get back with y'all. Go ahead and shoot me an email. Well, Steve, I've got your information, but Little Patty, shoot me an email. And if I've got any of the Apex the Codename Wild Hunt patches left, I'll get you guys both a patch. If I've got any left, I've got to look. I've got to get more ordered in. Although the winners from the 5,000 show, those are getting mailed out either tomorrow or Friday. I had to wait till I get paid to mail all that out because it's a stack of stuff to ship. So those will all be going out this week. Again, congratulations to everybody won.
Don, that's where his name got introduced, but he actually came in a little bit before that, right? When they were actually.
What's that?
Don said it was at the campground. That was actually when he introduced himself. He came in before that, though, right? When they picked the girl up. You didn't actually know his name, but
yeah, he didn't introduce himself by name until the campground.
Yep.
So,
but he was actually in the book earlier. He just didn't.
Didn't introduce by name. But so yeah, that's still a great call.
Yep.
So, Lil Patty and Steve, I'll get you guys a patch if I've got any left. If not, I may have to see what else I can come up with for you. Got another super chat. This one's from Tex over at Texas Ranch Portage. Hey Tex, thank you, man. Hey, I need to send you the information from the lady that won the T-shirt you gave me, that you gave away for the 5,000. I'll get that to you tonight, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate the happy birthday. Whew. We should probably mention our affiliates before we start winding things down.
Yeah, we might need to say a little something about our affiliates.
Yeah, probably a little.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Did you get the the video queued up for this?
No, I did not get the video queued up. So I'll just, guys, if you guys are going to be doing anything, whether it's hunting, fishing, backpacking. Hey, Mrs. Chef Yoda gave us a super chat. Thank you so much, ma'am. $50 super chat from Mrs. Chef Yoda. That is awesome. Thank you so much. But we're affiliates with Dark Angel Medical. If you're going to be going out camping, fishing, hunting, backpacking, cryptid hunting, Bigfoot hunting, in the way the world is these days, having a med kit on hand is a good idea. I carried a Dark Angel medical kit as a cop for years and years on my equipment belt, and I can't imagine trusting my life to a better kit. I started using Doc's kits in the book because I like using real world technology, and Doc and I became really good friends after the first Ragnarok Rising book came in. Yeah, their kits are just absolutely fantastic. And the reason I use them is because they're such high quality kits. But you check them out over at darkangelmedical.com. And there's kits for all occasions, along with the training to use those kits can be got through his website. You can go to live classes, or you could even sign up for online classes. But if you go to darkangelmedical.com and use the discount code cryptid25, you'll get 25% off your entire order. And I'm proud to be a Dark Angel affiliate because Doc's a hell of a good friend of mine, and they make a hell of a good product. So definitely give them some love, and make sure you head by, and don't forget to use that discount code. Doc, you want to talk a little bit about Scallywag?
Sure. Scallywag Tactical, another one of our affiliates, veteran-owned company. They make just about every kind of knife you could think about or want. They make folders, fixed blades, kitchen knives, I guess fantasy sort of type knives, throwing knives, just everything. And they've got a knife for you. I mean, it doesn't matter what type of knife you want. Like, DA's about to stab himself with one of them right now. This is the sailor assisted folder in copper. And
these are the throwing knives.
Yeah, he just chucked them because they're called the chucks.
They are called the chucks. I've taken them out of the holster, and one of them went flying.
This is the Orca. This is a great everyday carry knife, a little EDC knife. It's got the serrated on the back side of it. Some of the sharpest knives you'll ever get a hold of. That would be the Jolly Roger in black. They've got one in blue. I've got mine packed up in my go bag over there. I'd show you the blue one. Privateer. Yep, that's a really good one. A lot of these knives you can find on their little blemish blade section. Nothing wrong with the knives. That's the sailor assisted folder in black, just like this one's in copper. That's two different versions of the same knife. And I'm gonna tell you, this knife right here, this fast became my favorite knife that I've ever had. It's sharp as a razor. It'll cut you three ways: long, deep, and continuous. That's the dew claw. That's a good little utility knife. I've got that strapped to the outside of my day pack.
Dew claw is being discontinued this year.
Yep. So if you like that, go ahead and get it real quick. But
I love this one because it is so thick. This thing is just super durable. I use it all the time, and you would think that it would have like marks on the finish from where I've used it. No, it still looks brand new.
And if that thing ever did go dull, which it's not, but even if it did, you could use it as an impact weapon.
Oh, definitely, it's heavy.
Because it will definitely hurt you if you hit somebody with that. But get back. Like I said, this is fast becoming my favorite knife that I've ever had. I mean, it's a cool concept on the color, but all of them are all the sailor assisted folders like that. It's nice, thin, compact. It's light. Like I said, sharp, and but all his knives are that way. Because before that, the sailor assisted folder became my favorite knife. The Orca that I got was my favorite knife, and then the Jolly Roger before that. It's so they're all just you can't go wrong with them. And like I was saying earlier with the blemish blades, there's nothing wrong with the blades 9 times out of 10. It's just usually the box is messed up and they can't sell it as new. You get a good discount on most of these knives. This is a $45 knife. I got this knife for what I say, $10 DA. I think
it was 15 is what those
15.
were unblemished.
$15 for this knife, and it's normally $45. I got this
David
one.
David By says, I'll say again, my Jolly Roger retired 2 Kershaws.
Well, this one retired 2 Kershaws too, the Orca. Because I carried a Kershaw every single day on my uniform until I got that. And then when I got this, it retired my Orca and made my Orca my everyday shop.
My Jolly Roger retired this one. This is a Gerber.
Is that, yeah, I think, is that the one that got like the alligator skin pattern on the handle?
Yeah.
I had that exact knife. That was a great
I had this
knife.
one forever.
Yeah, that was a great knife.
It's still a good knife. It just doesn't hold an edge like that Jolly Roger.
No. So step on over to scallywagtactical.com. Look into blemish blades, get you a good deal. And then when you go to checkout, use code DA Roberts 10, get you an extra 10% off that because it does stack up.
Heck yeah.
And you can save a lot of money. We don't get any kickback off of that either. They're just, DA features these knives, the Bounty, the Gunner's Mate, the Privateer, or the Jolly Roger.
Jolly Roger and the Privateer, I think, both show up.
So, and I think even the boarding axe was in one of them for somebody was carrying one of the boarding axes. But the same thing with Dark Angel Medical. DA puts those in his books because real world technology, and it's something he believes in. And by proxy, I have gotten them myself, and I'm a knife freak. I love guns and I love knives.
Same here.
These are, I've had, my dad used to confiscate my knives when I was little, when I had them and I shouldn't have them. And when I got old enough and he gave me all my knives back, he had been a cop for 20-something years at that time. He said, son, I'll tell you something. I've got more knives that I've taken off you than I've taken off every suspect that I've ever arrested in my 20-year career.
I've got some knives I've had forever. This is a little Winchester I've had forever.
Yep, I got one just like that.
And this is a lock blade buck my dad gave me.
Yep,
forever ago.
Had several like that. Matter of fact, I think I still got a couple of those in my tackle boxes.
It's a buck 110. I've had that thing, God. And Dad's been gone since Dad's been gone since '98, and I think he gave it to me in sometime around the mid '80s.
There's had that knife wrong with those bucks or Uncle Henry's or old timers, Schrade, Gerber, Kershaw. There's nothing wrong with those knives. Those are good knives. But for the money, you're not going to go and pay $45 for a knife. Any, Bass Pro Shop or Cabela's or any of that stuff. You're not going to go pay $45 for a knife over there and get one that's going to be better than one of these. And that's full price for this is $45, which I didn't pay $45 for this one because
scratching did or the blemish.
Yeah, so there's really not going to be any knife you're going to get for $15 that's going to match this knife. I mean, I've had this knife for almost a year now, and it's still. And I've used it on everything. It's still sharp as a razor. Like Doc loves to say, it'll cut you 3 ways: long, deep, and continuous.
Kay Bauer says, "Isn't it the Jolly Roger that only comes in blue and black?" Yes, it is. It's the Jolly Roger. In fact, I've got one of each right here.
And I have a blue one myself. It's a really good knife too, and they all hold their edge. The DA talks about the kitchen knives all the time.
I love those kitchen knives. Flyby Stew, thank you for the super chat, brother. Appreciate it.
So, moral of the story: go to Scallywag Tactical. Use code DA Roberts 10 at checkout, get you 10% off. Then go over to Dark Angel Medical and get yourself a good IFAC. Use code cryptid 25, get you 25% off that. Then you're covered when you go cut yourself, which is inevitably going to happen with your Scallywag Tactical knife.
Because they are wicked sharp.
Because I've cut myself several times with these knives.
And our other affiliate is in the chat with us tonight is Ken Brock from Brock Blades, brockblades.com. Ken's a career law enforcement. He makes hand-forged knives in a shop in his backyard. This one is hand-forged out of titanium. It's called a skein dhu, which is modeled off the old Scottish knives. Skein dhu means black blade. And the Highlanders would wear these in their sock as a concealed weapon. But they're just an all-around utility knife, good for cutting everything from food to enemies. The skein dhu was an all-around utility knife that the Scots carried. He makes some absolutely fantastic blades. They're all handmade. While they might be of the same design, no two will be identical because they are handmade. I've got a Ardennes on order from him. And the Ardennes is what Will Gray Eagle carries in that story in Afghanistan, Bigfoot in Afghanistan. The story's called Dog Soldier. Will carries an Ardenne, and even in the later books, he still has that Ardennes. But all of his blades are handmade, custom made. And if you've got someone, dad, grandfather, aunt, uncle, somebody that really appreciates a good blade, if you're looking for that ideal birthday gift, Father's Day gift, or Christmas gift for somebody that enjoys a knife, nothing is going to stand out more on that list than a handmade knife. Knife guys truly appreciate a hand-forged knife, and Ken's blades are just absolutely works of art, and they're wicked good blades to have. And Ken, he doesn't have the affiliate program like the other two, but what he does have is a 10% off order. If you mention when you order your blade from brockblades.com that you heard about Brock Blades from this show. So if you want to order a blade from Brock Blades and have one custom made, either for yourself or somebody you care about, let Ken know that you heard about him here on DAX Machina and get 10% off your order. And Ken's an awesome dude. We are all about supporting our veterans and law enforcement here. And it's something that's very near and dear to all of us. And it always will be. And all three of these companies are first responder and or veteran owned. So we would definitely want to give them our support in our business because it's one thing when you're buying a knife from a company that makes millions of dollars every year, but when you're buying something from like Scallywag, because Scallywag's not a huge company, it is just a few guys. And Brock Blades is doing it by himself, and Dark Angel Medical is just Doc and a couple other folks. When you're buying something from them, a purchase from a small business like that means a hell of a lot more than it ever will buying a knife from Bass Pro or Cabela's or anybody like that. So you want to show your support for our veterans. Shopping veteran-owned companies, small businesses is the way to do it. And every purchase means the world to them. Deloitte says, "Oh, Penny, I would love to see some Scottish blades." Well, Ken makes a whole line of these skein dhus. I don't think he makes any swords. This one's titanium, which is just absolutely wicked, and it is sharp as can be. I can tell you. But I'm all about my Scottish heritage. My family is all Scots and Irish, mostly Scots, but Scots and Irish. So I was really happy to get that skein dhu. Toombs is absolutely right. Support small businesses, support veteran owned. I'm 100% on board with that, man. Mike A says, all I want to know is what kind of cowboy hats y'all wearing.
I've got a Bronco.
Mine is it's made by Eddie Hats. I don't know if you can see the label. EDDY. Eddie Brothers Hat Company. They've been making hats since 1929. You can go to Eddie Brothers. Just Google Eddie Brothers hats. I've got a couple of their hats. I love both of them. They're both slouch hats, which are basically old, old style, like mid 1800s hats. They're very comfortable. Their sizing is true to form. They're some of the best fitting hats I've got, and I've got several hats that I wear. But I think my two favorites right now are my Eddies. They just make an absolutely wonderful product. Not a sponsor. I wish they were, but they make a hell of a good hat. See, any other questions? Mrs. Chef Yoda says my ancestor came up from Orkney Island. That's just off the coast of Scotland. Kay Bauer says got the Cold Steel AK-47. Nice. Looking to see if we missed any questions. Folks, I want to thank you guys all for being here, for helping me celebrate my birthday. I'm 53 years old. I'm not getting any younger, but I want to be like one of my favorite authors, who's Cormac McCarthy. Cormac McCarthy's in his mid-90s. He may even be close to 100 now, and he's still writing books. He lives in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and he's still putting out books. If you're not familiar with Cormac, he wrote The Road. He wrote No Country for Old Men. Fantastic writer. If you're looking for a happy ending, don't read Cormac's books, because he just doesn't write that way. His books are very stark, and I love his books. Penny says I look like a bobblehead in hats. I look goofy without a hat. I mean, I'm just freaking some melon-headed bald guy, so I wear a hat almost everywhere. And technically, my birthday is not for another hour and 15 minutes. My birthday is June 1st, but since we don't do a show on Thursdays, we did one tonight. I want to say congratulations to everybody that won the prizes on the 5,000 giveaway. Those will be going out probably by Friday. So it's getting mailed out. I had to wait till I got paid to mail those out, because all that packaging is a bit expensive. And again, tonight, congratulations to Toshi, David Bai, and Don Donaldson. Again, send me an email at daroberts@daroberts.net with a description, name, and which book series you would like to appear in, because I have more books coming in every series, and you look for those coming soon. Thank you everybody tonight that gave us super chats. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much. Big shout out to the mods. DAX mods rock. You guys are the best. Thank you guys for keeping everything going, keeping everything great. We have awesome mods. Roxanne says turn it around. My dad used to do that when dad was in his 50s. He would turn it around. He was 25 instead of 52 and stuff like that. Big shout out to my cousin Billy, if he's listening. He's 13 hours older than me and has never let me live it down my entire life. But today's technically Billy's birthday and tomorrow's my birthday. So Billy, if you're watching, happy birthday, brother. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Make sure you guys go show some love to our good folks over there at our affiliates, both Scallywag Tactical, Brock Blades, and Dark Angel Medical. Don't forget to use the discount codes, and if you're ordering from Brock Blades, make sure you let them know you saw it here. Just some great companies, folks, and we want to show them our support and our love. Trying to think, is anything we haven't covered?
No, we hit all three of the sponsors, and we didn't really have any kind of tracks set down for tonight, so we were all over the place, but that was okay, because that's what we're supposed to do tonight.
That was the plan for tonight. Hope you guys will join us Saturday night. We'll have the show up in the next day or two, letting everybody know what the show for Saturday will be about, but we will be back on Saturday night. Hopefully Steve will be with us, and I'm sure Doc will be back. Hopefully they'll have the move done. And appreciate you guys being with us. We had an awesome time tonight, and thank you to everybody that said that will wish me a happy birthday. and appreciate everybody that's hung out with us. And we had an awesome time tonight. And
thank you for everybody who congratulated me on the promotion.
Definitely. Congratulations, brother. I'm proud of you. Corporal Rains. You need to get a corporal's bars for your hat now.
Well, they only gave me 2, and I had to put both of them on my.
I think I still got. I think I still got a few sets. I mean, I've got one of my sergeant ones right here.
I probably got that because Chief's like, well, we don't have any stripes for your uniform. We got to order them. And I'm sitting there thinking I probably still got us a couple corporal stripes on some, especially some of my canine uniforms that I had that I did. They told me not to turn those in when I left the first time.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I probably still got some corporal stripes in there. But yeah, we put a chevron right there.
There you go. Trying to think if anything else we haven't covered. I think we got it all. Folks, thank you guys for hanging out with us. And I think that is something I'm going to start doing either during a show or just put a pre-recorded video up on YouTube of me reading short stories or a chapter here and there from a book. And we'll see how that goes, see how people like it. And hopefully you guys will check them out and share them far and wide, because the more people that read that listen to them and are intrigued, the more people hopefully will check out my books. So if you guys haven't checked out the books, check them all out over at daroberts.net. You can find pretty much everything over there, and also on Amazon. There's 29 books in print and climbing. So I hope you guys will check all that out. If you're not a member of the Patreon community, I hope you'll check that out. There's a lot of unpublished short stories available over there on the Patreon community that aren't available anywhere else. And hope you guys will check that out as well. You can also help have input on shaping the future of the DA-verse. So I hope you guys will check that out at patreon.com/DARobertsAuthor. And again, thank you guys for hanging out with us and for being there for the growth of the channel and for being part of the DAX Machination. So thank you guys so much, and we will see you guys on Saturday night. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.